learning to be Buddhist. I have the third eye. That's okay, Gold Panner.
Yeah, we were laughing.
We'll forgive you.
It.
Well, that is very symmetrical, isn't it?
Looks good.
Yeah. No, I have not changed my religion. No.
Yeah.
Although I think my religion now includes duck.
Duck. Oh shit.
And it was one of those things where
Damn.
I was carrying something, and I knew it was low overhead.
Yeah.
I'm carrying it, and I went to look up to see
and hit it.
how much clearance I had. If I had just kept going like this, wouldn't have been a problem. Yeah, pow! I'm laying there on the deck, and he was going like, "Do I need to climb up there?" I said, "No, I'll be okay. Just give me a minute."
Yeah. Let me refocus here.
Yep. It was unpleasant. Actually, this right here hurt more than that.
I caught you right at the nose.
Yeah, right there. See?
Oh, man.
See that little kinky there?
Ouch.
Thank you, Douglas. Appreciate it.
Hey, Douglas.
Hi, Kenneth. Oh.
Well, welcome to 2022, folks.
Everything will be fine now. Hello, Jeff.
Hey, Jeff. David.
I don't know, Bob. Wake up. I think it was more like, look that way, Hey, Mr. Lodak. Hey, I had a great time last night. Thanks for all the fun conversation. Finally, huh? I think Chris is saying finally at me. Hey, David, how's it going? Now you're in the middle of making sourdough. Okay, they make these things called clocks, and if you use them, you can anticipate timing to work better. But anyhow.
He's making a very forgiving food there.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to mess up sourdough.
Hey, Heavy Meadow. So this week I didn't get much accomplished because there were these things called holidays.
Yeah.
Now, you're becoming a Grinch when the holidays annoy you because you can't get stuff done.
Yeah. Can't buy this or they're not open.
Well, I wanted to make a vent hood both for the furnace and for when I was doing experiments which might be evolving unpleasant gases.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean? It's supposed to start at 6, Chris, and it's currently 5:59. Okay?
6.
I say, I'm not sure what's
Hey,
going
Bryce.
on. But anyhow,
We're having a heat wave.
yeah. So I was going to go get over at the Restore a range hood,
Mm-hmm.
And then once I had the range hood, I could build the box and all this other stuff. What? It was scheduled for. That's what I forgot to do. I forgot to hit the schedule.
Oh, shit.
Let's see. What is that? Got to put the description in.
Oh, a little confusion. Sorry, guys.
Actually, it wasn't scheduled at all. That was the thing. I just put it up there. I forgot to hit the scheduling. Yeah.
Well.
Nope. I didn't. That was the thing. It was one of the things I forgot. And so anyhow, he didn't notice it either, did you?
I didn't even look. You were you were typing in, getting it ready and set up. I didn't even look.
Yeah.
So, oh well.
Well, I looked competent. See, I looked so self-assured. So anyhow, but so I'm like, okay, I can go Friday, get the vent hood, and then I can do this. And it's like Friday, New Year's Eve.
Yep.
Do you think they're open?
No.
They'll be open again Wednesday.
Right.
Oh my gosh. So David says, little Eva the goddess.
Hello.
And Terry also hung into the last minute last night when we were with Ray Rusaw's Zoom meeting there. Yep. So anyhow, it was a very frustrating, an unproductive weekend.
Yeah, well, that's about same for me.
Yeah.
I didn't accomplish a lot. Make notes, get ready.
No, I'd probably be smarter if it was Lars. But anyhow, I did get the intermediate agitation test run. I got that confidential test run. I've got Coulter's test run and the results at the lab.
Okay.
So I got all that done at least. And let's see. Javier down in Colombia was doing some tests where he was taking his leach solution and acidifying it. And the latest he used was sodium metabisulfite, and he did get a dense black precipitate at the bottom after 30 minutes, Chris. I'm guessing that's probably gold. What I'm going to try tomorrow is just outside, small quantities with a breeze, acidify like, I don't know, 10 milliliters or something of some of the solution I've got, and then try a capillary tube test. For those of you who haven't seen the basic theory, this is a capillary tube. It's a small glass tube, and if you stick it in any kind of liquid, it will actually draw the liquid up into it. And there you can see the liquid's right about there. And then if you take a piece of glass, plastic, anything like that, I've got a glass coaster in there, and then put a piece of this test paper on the glass and stand the capillary tube on the test paper, it sucks the liquid out of the tube and it goes all through that one little dot on the test paper, so that you get a much darker color than you would if you just dipped it in there. And so it was interesting, Terry, kind of refereeing between the two of them there, because they have such entirely different viewpoints. And it was an interesting challenge. I had a good time. Pretty much everyone was reasonably polite. Those who were there can make their own judgments, etc. But at least it didn't get out of hand. And I had a great time. And so I'll try that and see if we get a usable color change. If so, then we have to find out whether or not that color change is directly related to the gold, or if there's other stuff that's precipitating instead.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I want to get the MIBK. But yeah, it's going to be shipped in from somewhere, and take time and money and all that other stuff. But the MIBK will do a good job of isolating the gold from most of the other
silver,
stuff.
copper, whatever else is there.
Yep, exactly. That's the idea. Yeah, we were the conversation kind of wandered a bit after almost everyone had left. Ray and most everyone else had left the Zoom meeting, and so it kind of wandered off on a few tangents there, but we had fun. So anyhow, so I'll be trying that this week, and I presume most of you saw the little video I put out this week on the intermittent agitation. Now, I was actually quite surprised that it was that good. I would have expected something more like 70 to 80% of continuous agitation from the intermittent agitation.
Right.
95% was quite surprising to me to be that good.
Nice number.
And yeah, Chris, is that in three-dimensional space or some other topology? But anyhow, so it's a very interesting piece of data, and I'm not sure how well it applies to any other ores or any other leaching solutions, because our ore is very, very fine gold, and this Eco Goldex seemed to be pretty darn aggressive. So, but I was quite pleased with that, and that means that if there is a use for decreasing the agitation effort, we can do it with very little losses. You know, for example, if you have limited, if you're running off of solar power or
Right.
something,
Right.
and you've only got a limited amount of power. Yeah, and apparently it doesn't passivate very much, Chris. That's my thought. It doesn't seem to have passivate as much as the cyanide solution does. Don't know, but that was quite surprising, and that was good. I'm working on a little confidential thing. There may be a patent involved somewhere, so I can't just put it out there at this point. And Coulter's samples at the lab now, waiting for the results to come in. So that's about it. Next week, if somebody will be open and I can get a ventilation fan, then I can build a box. Are you doing anything? Wednesday.
I have no idea. I'll know closer to the
I think
day.
Wednesday I've got a doctor's appointment. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I got to see the doctor about the hernia surgery. Thursday. Oh, by the way, everyone who may be in the Helena area this week, on Thursday at noon, there is a freedom rally at the State House here at noon. So if you want to come along, that'd be great. And that's got Thursday taken up. So I don't know. All I got to do is build a box and put a couple 2x6s onto the the wall and clunk. Frustrating. And the temperature here, we're having a heat wave right now. Currently, we are at. Oops, that's why it didn't come out right.
So you got too many numbers going.
Yeah. We are now at a sizzling 274.8 degrees Kelvin, which breaks down to 35 degrees Fahrenheit. That's been pretty. That's pretty warm for what we've been doing here.
Oh yeah, it was a decent day.
Yeah, it's been bouncing in the below zeros to 10-degree range, basically, which makes it really hard to work outside. And I knew someone would guess that one. No, Roberts, it's not a religious conversion. It's simply failure to duck. You should see the rafter, okay?
Yeah, it's got blood on it.
It's bleeding too.
The rafter is totally undamaged.
Yeah, it's got blood on it.
Eva was a bit distressed for a minute there.
Knock himself unconscious.
Well, I mean, she would have had a tough time even getting to where I was because the shelf was like this high off the ground. I mean, I had to put my foot on something and kind of clamber up
hit
there.
the floor with this one, people.
Oh yeah,
well, when you're moving,
well, I'm carrying something. I whack my head, so I went down, and it's like, well, I'm here. I might as well stay here. There's no big hurry to get back up. And I'm like,
it's like, damn, what'd I do?
How much blood is there? Okay, not much.
Yet.
Yeah, exactly. It got a little drippy later. Yeah. Now we are going to mine gold today, and we are going to extract the gold without harming anything. Yep. Well, especially when you're as old as I am, Chris. You know, when we were young, we're 20 years old, teenagers, whatever. You get knocked out, you jump right back up. Yeah, I'm not hurt. Yeah. Now we go, okay, inventory time.
Yeah.
Let's see what's
works,
moving,
what
what's
quit working.
So yeah. Good evening, Adam. See, told you. No, that's called a scab. Ooh, Hindu scabs. Sounds like something in the port of somewhere. I'm not sure. What is a port in India? Chris, what's a port in India?
Delhi.
Is Delhi an actual port?
No,
I don't think so.
kidding.
Yep.
Hello.
But anyhow, so hopefully this week I'll get the exhaust hood done and installed so I can actually start firing the furnace and firing some samples and see how that all works. And I will also probably, let's say, since someone else is helping to pay for all this, probably be a little bit circumspect on exactly what the formulas are for the flux in case he wants to basically, we blend it and sell it sort of stuff. But another thing too, see that red book over there, Jim?
Yep.
Okay. This book came recommended by Chris, and it's a bit complicated. I mean, this is fairly high value stuff, but it's pretty good. There was one quote in here, for example, that I thought was very interesting. When it is considered that the final sample for chemical analysis usually weighs only half a gram, and that for fire assay somewhat less than 15 grams, and that each must truly represent from 1 to 5 carloads, that would be rail carloads, of ore weighing from 50 to 200 tons, the enormous practical difficulties of the problem may be appreciated. And let's see, where was it? Where he said, I don't see it right there, but they were basically saying you need between 500,000 and 5 million particles for a truly representative sample of that much. So I say it's very
Information dense.
I mean, it's a college textbook written by a professor at MIT. So it's a little thick of a slog. So I'm not sure how useful it is on a general basis, but thank you, Chris. It's got a lot of information.
I should read that.
It's a textbook of fire assaying by Edward E. Bugbee, Bugbee. And there you go. And we got it from Legend Assaying or Legend Inc. They sell crucibles and all kinds of stuff like that. It's 20. Yeah, it's only $20. Okay. So, and it actually is a textbook. He wrote this in the probably like 1920. It's been updated a bit. The guy's probably been dead 40 years. But I mean, fire assay chemistry doesn't change.
No, and the more you can find, the bigger your library is, the better off you are.
And so I haven't read it all, but I would say if you're reasonably knowledgeable about chemistry and such, it's probably going to be a good book. Certainly for $20, it's not going to break your budget. But anyhow, so that's another thing I'm slogging through.
Yeah, well, it's good reading, I guess.
Yeah, so that's what I'm doing. Do you want to do your presentation?
I don't know planned? That we could go into that at some point here, I guess. But
okay.
I'll say hello to AU and to JP Lawns. Thanks for being here, guys.
And so anyhow, that's the situation. Coulter Young from Mining Magnets called me up a couple days ago, and he had a question. He had somebody that was in Mexico, deep down in Mexico, that wanted him to come work with him on a little project there. And I checked with some of my sources who are pretty well tapped into stuff. And my source said that he would strongly recommend not going there at the current time because the cartels are having their usual kinetic discussions going on and such. And to give you an idea, what he suggested someone he knew do, because they had a gold mine operating there for years, and it's getting to the point where employees were getting kidnapped and held for ransom and stuff. And he suggested that the best thing would be to get a bank account in a foreign country and transfer your funds from your bank account to that, and do all this in like half a day at most. And then at the mine, pick up his family in a helicopter with as much gold and cash as they could carry, head out one direction, and once you were over the horizon, turn into a radically different direction. Then, land, get on an airplane, because a helicopter is not going to make it to the United States from near Mexico City, and then break your flight plan. File a flight plan and do not follow it, and get back to the United States. And my friend's been working a lot in Mexico for like 30 years. So I would suggest, if anyone has any thoughts of doing anything in Mexico, they look very, very carefully at the specific situation, because apparently in substantial portions of Mexico right now, it might be worse than if you went to Afghanistan. So just be aware, be alert. What I suggested to Coulter and was to just tell the guy, send up a sample, send up a couple kilograms, and we'll see what we can do with it. And, send the information back down. And that way you don't have to physically go there. Now, that's obviously not ideal way to deal with something. But I mean, this is one of those situations apparently where it's getting really ugly down there. So, be aware that, it can get ugly. And I mean, 20 years ago, there were places in Mexico, if you went, you didn't come back, So, as I just wanted to give everyone a heads up there. I've also had some reports from down near the border that things are, of course, with unlimited immigration, getting less stable in the United States. Only one report basically, but say if you're not from the area, try and check with a local before you go even along the border of the United States. So, little update there.
Yeah.
And the Chris, say Javier down there in Colombia, acidified with hydrochloric, the Eco Goldex leach solution, to about pH 4.5, added sodium metabisulfite, and got a black precipitate. Do you have a high level of confidence of what that was or had to be? I think the sodium metabisulfite is generally fairly selective to precipitate gold, but I do not know. Yeah, saw that. Okay, I'm confused, Chris. I'm not sure what that is, but yes. I think I emailed it to him. And say, if you have any, useful input on that, I'd like to say, my thought tomorrow is to use hydrochloric to acidify a small amount and try the capillary tube and test paper thing. And then, that's what I'm wondering. I think it's a fairly specific precipitant. But then the other thing I was thinking was I could also add nitric, either just nitric, Yeah, for an assay on the pregnant solution, basically.
He didn't do that yet.
Oh, well, he doesn't have one. He can't get one.
Yeah.
He can't
Bad-
find anybody in country that can do
Yeah,
it.
bad location.
It's Colombia. But anyhow, the ICP lab here in Tucson and Helena, he acidifies it with nitric acid before he runs it through he filters it, acidifies it with nitric acid, and then runs it through the ICP. That's where he's getting that's the method he's using to get my numbers. And Coulter's sample, we're running for gold, silver, platinum, palladium, and any other platinum group in his standard that he has. Hey, Scotty.
Hey, Scotty. There's your list of parts.
Port of Mumbai. That's the one I should have thought of. Mumbai. Yep. Good one, Scotty. Yep.
Give you the list.
Yep. But my thought was just try hydrochloric, nitric, and hydrochloric plus nitric to make a very dilute aqua regia, and just test them all, see if I get any spots any of those ways. Now, having trouble getting the methyl isobutyl ketone. Boy, try and do that with cold lips. You'd have a tough time. And but I'm having a little trouble finding that where we don't have to pay a lot of shipping, but we may have to just bite the bullet on that one. The methyl isobutyl ketone doesn't really change anything, but what it does, it selectively grabs the gold out of the solution once it's in an aqua regia type solution and in the form of gold chloride, which allows us then to isolate it and then do the spot test. I'm pretty confident we'll get this going. And I know that the spot test I was using worked fine on ores. There was some interference where sometimes it'd be off by a factor of 10, but it seemed to be a consistent thing. It was ore dependent.
Right.
So you could calibrate it. You could say, okay, this ore here, we know what this means. So again, hopefully by the end of the winter here, I'll have a portable, fast, cheap rock assay and a portable, fast, cheap solution assay that's not highly precise, but reasonably accurate, and will allow you to figure out in general what's going on with a fair degree of confidence, which is all you absolutely have to do. Most specifically, I want to be able to tell when that resin loads up and we start dumping into the next column.
Yep.
And that's something that you can't do that by taking it to a lab and 3 days later getting a result.
Right. Yeah, the time frame just
that's not going to work. But anyhow, so that's the basic thing I'm working on. And apparently that furnace that we purchased requires an initial burn in. Okay. You have to heat it up to temperature to basically condition, season, drive off volatiles, things like that.
Sure. Yeah.
And the programming methodology is not quite intuitive. It's not horrible, but it's not quite intuitive. For example, when the display says C, that means temperature in degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, don't ask me why they picked a C. I mean, it's because it's a standard, alphanumeric display where they have the, different, there's only so many things.
Okay.
I would have done something besides C.
Yeah, right. They couldn't find
and
another
then
letter.
Then T was for time. I would have had F and T.
Yeah.
Yeah,
that would make more sense.
Yeah, I don't know, but as I say, it's this one. We spent a little more money. It's programmable. It has a little vent hole, so it's designed as you're burning stuff. The fumes can come out of the kiln, and they don't just bake onto the inside.
Yeah, that'll work good with the hood then.
Yeah, and then I put it in the hood with the idea being that the kiln will be sitting somewhere, and the hood will have a back atop and then come down on the front, so that all the fumes will go up into that space there, which will then be
Right.
sucking it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, John. I say, it's it tells you exactly how you're supposed to do it. You program it this way. You take it up to 600 degrees for 15 minutes, and then go to 1200 degrees and for 30 minutes or whatever, and then go to what was it? 1900, 2000, 2100, something like that for another 30 minutes Fahrenheit, and then cool down to ambient naturally.
Right.
Just
let it slowly.
Hey, blind dude. And so that I can get done this week. I will have to be running that on a generator out there, though. I'll just suck the batteries down on it.
Pulling big power.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Not a problem. If we really need more power, over at the shop, he's got a 6,500 watt generator too. So we could just drag that out there if needed. That's okay, Gold. We'll forgive you this
That
time.
blind dude just got here too, man.
Yeah. Hey, Patrick. Ooh, now that's an idea, Patrick.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah. Temperatures outside and wind and everything. I mean, we could, but I don't really feel that comfortable running a high temperature kiln and a hotel.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have to run it out there anyhow. So I'm just waiting to. It's probably going to be about a 2-hour cycle, I would think, before it cools down and stuff. So by the time I get the hood all built, it can have done its cycling and everything, and then I can,
put it in,
set it in there and do something. But that's very frustrating. I got so many things to do.
Yeah, it's all time.
Yeah, I should have already done this by now. All because of stupid idiots want to have a vacation or something. I mean to tell you.
Oh, well.
Slackers. Does anyone have any questions on anything at this point? Although I like Patrick's idea. We could turn that into some kind of celebration too.
Yeah, an annual one, preferably.
Yeah. Interesting. It snowed and the creek has snow on it. The top 1 inch frozen. It was very easier to dig than when it was dry.
Huh.
Interesting.
Saturated a little bit.
Yeah. I tried to go fishing yesterday out there at the causeway.
Yeah.
It was cold.
Yeah, that wind has been bitter.
It wasn't even that terribly windy. Exhaust and intake air ducts. It's a big building. I understand exactly what you're saying, Chris.
Because you want the draw.
Yeah.
To a certain extent.
I'm also considering, in the long run, potentially putting the generator in the building and ducting the exhaust outside, so all that waste heat that generator makes isn't so wasted. So I say we shall see what we shall see. But yeah, it's not that big a thing. I should be able to do it pretty easy. My thought is go out there. If it's a good clear day, not too windy, I'll set the furnace outside on a steel table there, fire the generator, program it, and then while it's doing its thing, I'll be building the range hood and putting it together and stuff. And
Gold Panner. Actually, that last property we tested this fall, that last video that I did, had a high concentration of blue in it, which probably means there's a lot of silver there. We haven't tested that yet, but we're assuming some of those mines above us were silver mines. So you tend to get a lot of dark blue clay, blue gravel.
Yeah, I don't even know if you need heat exchangers, Chris. You could probably put fins on it if you wanted to, but I'm just thinking you just have the generator and run 2 or 3 feet of exhaust pipe until it goes through the steel wall, and then run it out a couple feet. So that was kind of my thought. Plus the engine itself has cooling fins and a fan, and all that would be just blown right in, around the shop, around it. And see, now David is he's after efficiency. You got to admire this guy,
right?
Because he's like,
Have a still
make
running.
shine while
Yeah.
you're at it.
Have the still running while you're heating things up.
Well, yeah, you heat it inside, and then you put your chilling tube outside.
Yeah.
Genius, absolute genius. You might have to put insulation around it
Yeah, keep it well.
to get
the
it, keep
alcohol's
from getting
floating
too
enough, it
cold.
shouldn't.
Yeah, you don't want to condense too much of the
Yeah.
water too. You can do some of that, or you can just put a little heat. Again, if you're doing a sluice box and you've got a generator, if you're running a generator, just take your pump and run the hose to a coil of copper tubing around your exhaust,
Pump it
and then
back.
run it back, and that way you're running hot water through your sluice.
Yeah.
So I say sorry I can't get more exciting news to you folks, but I am working about 4 different projects at once, very slowly, because I only get so much progress at a time. Yeah, if you're on batteries, that makes it tough. Heavy meadow detective.
Yeah.
Yeah, apparently he's running on solar there. Well, you could have a fire of almost any sort and just run just a steel pipe through it. Just a little barbecue grill.
Coil, in a bucket with some charcoal or something would create the same environment.
Little hibachi.
Yeah.
Just have a thing. Because as long as you keep it above freezing, you don't have to take it from cold to hot in a single pass. Just, add energy to it. And I'll say, we shall see what we shall see.
Oh boy.
Yeah. One reason we like the little electric furnace we got for what we're doing right now is you can program in a temperature profile. You can say, I want it to go from this temperature to that temperature in this many minutes and hold at this temperature, and then go up to that one, and like that. And so there's a lot of precision and flexibility in this thing. I think it can do like 30 steps in a single program or something like that. It's quite a few things. So if we're doing the resin bit, I think that
you take it to 800
we can take it up here and hold it there and let it react for a while, and then take it up higher, and play games and see what happens. The problem is it's going to take a long time to play each game, and it's going to tend to be cold out there, although hopefully there'll be enough radiant heat.
You're going to get some heat out of
that little space heater works.
Yeah, I say the space heater here works. I fixed it.
Talking into a big wood stove in the shed, and another job.
Mike Chris, on the bottom of it, I'm planning on putting just flat concrete pavers to provide a good thick fireproof surface there. But we shall see how tough it is, because I suspect that the kiln itself is going to heat the air under the hood fairly well, and it'll act like insulation. But I'll have room. I can put insulation. I'm not going to make it where it fits tight. Obviously, I'd like to have some space anyhow. But we'll see exactly what happens. They make a board that's designed to go under wood stoves and stuff as a
Yeah,
fireproof board.
concrete board.
Yeah. And so that would be easy to line the whole thing with,
Yep.
or build a little enclosure to go around the kiln too. You know, there's a number of options.
Look for that at the Restore. The last time I bought a big stack down there for about $4 a sheet.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was cheap.
Yeah.
Somebody had leftover that they brought in, you know.
I'll have to call you were the boss and get a pickup down there. My truck with the camper on it, I just can't do what I'd like to do at times. Yeah. We have not done our claims because it would be for a magnetic survey here. The local guy charged about $5,000 per day for a crew and stuff. And we got, plenty of stuff we can actually see right now. If we've thoroughly explored what we can see and sample,
then you move to the
and
next step.
then we can worry about that. Right now, money is a bit tight because with all these COVID disruptions and such, business isn't as profitable as it was last year.
Yep.
And therefore, we're being very cautious on the expenditures.
And that's
I'm having a major deja vu
understandable.
moment here.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, smoking. You can sell those for a bunch right now. I hear there's a shortage.
What?
He said, smoking usually slides in sideways in a CDC truck. He says, howdy, found this baby on the side of the road full of COVID test kits.
I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, smoking.
Yeah. I say you can get a good price for those now. You can get a premium. But I say it's just one of those things that I don't have a lot of information this week, but must be a Ford, huh?
He left it.
And so say hopefully I'll have more, but that's what happens when people go on vacation, man. I can't get anything done. Where are you at, blind dude? It was funny last night. It turns out that Brian and oh gosh,
Terry, I think it is.
Terry, yeah, I think it's Terry, actually live pretty close together. Brian is in Silver City. You don't have any prospecting stuff in Silver City? Oh, that's just crazy, man. I would check with over at Safford, and what's the town on the freeway down there, little one, just into New Mexico from Arizona?
Lordsburg.
Lordsburg. Might check there. Silver City. Well, that's a good question, Adam, but I think it's Silver City, New Mexico, which has a big copper mine, and I mean it's got a hell of a mining history. But there is not a whole lot of population there last I looked. And
Deming.
There's Deming nearby.
Deming has a lot of stuff. Las Cruces has a lot of stuff.
And Las Cruces is too far away. Yeah. So.
Well, sorry. I think anything within 5 hours of where you are is not far away.
Yeah. Take a look around there. It's not horribly far from Morenci either, although again, that's one of those, well, yeah, how many people are in Morenci? 1,000, 1,500 working for Phelps Dodge. Although I hear that the Safford mine is going to be big. Okay. My brother was talking to people there this fall when he was doing kettle corn at the county fair, and it's going to be a huge pit, like 15 miles by 8 miles.
Whoa.
Something like that.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's big.
That's big. Hey, Jeff. So I say that's a big deal there. Yeah, pretty much blind dude. Yeah, it's bigger than the Morenci ore body, according to the information my brother had. So we shall see. But yeah, that one should be a gigundous mine. And I've been seeing them digging there for years on it as it's getting bigger and bigger where they were over there. But apparently, they've just been doing step out drilling and step out drilling, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger and
Follow
bigger.
the geology.
Okay, blind dude. Gold Addicts is there in Globe. You know, you guys might get together, or he might, you might be able to figure out something kind of halfway between, like Safford or whatever, and find an organization there or something. Yeah, John. A lot of times, an organization is really dependent on the passion of the founder or one of the founders. Somebody really makes it work, and a good example of that. Oh, what was I trying to think of there? Well, it's it just, once that passion is gone, then the fire isn't there, the intensity.
Yeah. You have to have a good leader.
Yeah.
Take Elon Musk out of Tesla and
see what happens. It wouldn't be good.
It might not be good. You never know. But if he hired good people for, which I'm pretty sure he does.
Seems to be doing pretty good.
You never know. He might be able to step out. But in a lot of times, if you lose that leadership that was the kinetics of making it happen, it doesn't turn out well.
Yeah. We had a company in Yuma, Arizona called Bob's Pump Exchange that had been there forever. And if it moved a fluid,
he did it.
They could fix it.
Yeah.
From gas pumps to big irrigation pumps, the whole 9 yards. And the guy died, and like an idiot, he gave it to his son instead of the manager. And just, he should have given it to the manager, and the manager has to give a percentage to the son or something. And so the son, first thing he did, because he had a bunch of smoking buddies, is he fired all the employees who've been working there for 40 years and hired up his buddies.
Oh, yeah, that's success.
And so, of course, within 2 years, it was completely gone.
Yep.
Because
I forgot who was making it work.
Yeah. Well, and so young people don't appreciate the value of experience like old people do. Well, how hard can it be? Oh, you don't want to know.
No, it gets, most things do get technical.
Yeah. So, it's frustrating. The GPAA, gosh, when was it? Probably around 1980 or 82, maybe. It was at the Yuma Convention Center there. And it was either then or around 75, 76. Because that's when I lived in Yuma there. And Buzzard was right there doing the thing. And they had a gold show. And he was making it work. You can contact Bill, but you might also take a look at the old GPAA claims and see if they're open. If they've...
I don't think blind dude, I don't think that's I would not call that unethical. No. I mean, I've done that for contacting other claim owners when we were trying to put this district back together somewhat here. I think it's kind of good to get to know people in an area, and it's amazing what you can learn from them in an area also. So I think if they don't want to talk to you, they won't.
Yep.
So, reach out and see what happens.
Yeah, that's why I was trying to get a club, because that kind of networking really quickly.
Well, and especially if it's in a regional area, a small area of guys who have claims, it might be very successful.
Yeah. Chris apparently has done that hundreds of times. Yeah, there's nothing unethical about it. What's unethical is to go on their claims without talking to them.
Yeah, that's a way to get
that's unethical.
shot at. Soon it might even be worse.
Yeah. But no, that's what they're there for. That's why it's all public record.
No, I think it's a good idea to reach out and talk to other claim owners, and you can probably meet some new friends, man.
Well, and the other thing is look at the claims that have been closed.
Yeah. Look for closed claims in the area.
Yeah. It makes sense. They're generally going to have the same personality unless they just inherited it or something like that.
Yeah. No, if they're, actually a person that's hunting gold, they have the same interests as you do, which usually you can talk to those guys. I mean, rarely will anybody kind of be put offish if they know that you do the same thing. You like the same things they do.
Another thing that might work out is, I know like the Graham County Fair there, I'm sure there's something the equivalent of in the Silver City area. Go to the county fair and just walk through the commercial buildings and things like that and just start chatting people up. Here's what I love about Graham County. It's in Arizona. There's always a couple gun raffles.
Yeah.
And I mean some nice guns too.
Yeah.
And so, these are people that are out in the field all the time. You just talk to them and this and that. And, you should be able to run into several people that can, if they're not doing anything themselves, they, oh, you need to talk to Fred. Fred would love to talk to you or something. And also a lot of claim owners nowadays are getting kind of long in the tooth.
That's true here.
And they don't have the physical ability to use their claims anymore. Yep. Okay, Chris says that most claim owners.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, that sounds about right, Bryce.
Well, there's a story there,
but
we'll do it another day.
That's a different kind of gold digging.
Somebody brought it up too. The coffee shops. There's always that round table in the little coffee shops in the morning that are all the old ranchers and the old guys that kind of know everything in the area. And it doesn't hurt sometimes to just ask those guys, hey, does somebody have a claim I can go play out on or whatever? You might be surprised. You win some new friends. You never know.
Yeah, networking.
You just got to be open to taking that opportunity to, and some people say, no, or no, I don't want to talk about it, but that's okay.
Well, another thing you could try too, Blind, is what I did up here was I got the information from the Bureau of Mines on the county by county mine, I don't know, almost catalog, but I mean, it had information on mines and this and that. And I went down through them looking for mines that had high grade. I wasn't concerned about large tonnage, low grade type mines.
Right.
It was high grade stuff. Yeah. My minimum was 1 ounce per ton gold or 20 ounces per ton silver.
Right.
If they didn't have that reported, I just flipped
to
on.
The next one.
And almost every county I came up with 1 to 4 mines that had the grade I was interested in, was on public land, was on open public land.
Right. No,
and was not currently claimed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly, Chris. Yep, that's a good idea. Ask about doing some, access it, do some checking, give them information, and maybe walk out of there with a percentage of gold.
Yeah, it doesn't hurt to ask.
No, it doesn't. It'll keep you in better spirits with somebody than trespassing onto their claim and getting caught. I know that.
Well, here's another important thing. This is a real important principle, and it was illustrated last night on the Frozen Gold episode that some of us watched. There was a guy that had a claim that had rubies on it in Greenland, and they wanted to take a look and see if that was a suitable claim for trying to exploit next year. And so Ellie, the geologist, went with this guy to his claim, which, and right away, you see some red flags. He said it was an 1.5-hour hike. It was actually a 3-hour hike. I said, where is it? Well, it's over there, just on the other side of that ridge. They get to the ridge. Well, it's on the other side of the lake. They get to the other side of the lake. Well, it's up in that saddle there. They finally get to it. They get some rubies. The weather was kind of closing in, so they had to get out. And then she was saying, so, which ones can I take, back to the thing? And he's like, well, I'm going to have to look at them, first before. And the next day, she went up with this little cheap ass ruby that, according to her, you can find in the specimen things you can buy for like $10. And she was pretty furious, but she made a big mistake. She didn't have a deal in writing first, because, let's say that blind, you have a deal with the guy that you can keep the first ounce of gold you find and 10% thereafter. I believe that was something that one of the people last night said. Okay. And you go out there and you find a 6-ounce nugget. Now what do you do? Okay. And what happens if you go and you find, a 6-ounce nugget and the guy says, thanks, and takes it? What can you do? You need to have a deal in writing first that clearly delineates all reasonable possibilities. Okay. So that no matter what happens, it's like, well, according to the paper here, this is what we do. And as such, the deal is nebulous. Now, in her case, at least there was somebody videotaping, but again, she never said, is this, the guy I'm working for here, I asked him today, something or whatever, and he just said, it's time to go in. Why don't you buy me lunch, right? And so I went with him to Jalisco up here.
Okay.
And, at the end I said, okay, so what's the thing? Am I buying, you buying, are we sharing or whatever? And if he'd said, I said you were buying, he would like, no problem. Because, that's what he'd said. I thought he was just joking, but
you never
if
know.
I hadn't been prepared to do that, right? And I mean, the whole bill was like $20 or something, so it's no big deal. But I hadn't been prepared. I would have clarified before we left. And Ellie she got screwed, and not in a good way. And the other thing, though, that I pointed out, I commented on one of her other videos, was that now you know that this guy's not trustworthy. That's a cheap way to find out you don't want to do business with this guy. Yeah.
Well, you get experience. You either learn it from somebody else or you get it firsthand when you make a big mistake. And it's usually much easier to listen and learn ahead of time. But
yeah. Adam, no. She got a little ruby worth about $10. Okay. And the purpose was to get a decent specimen she could take back to the camp, show the other guys, say, we got a good claim over here.
Right.
We might want to consider
Possibility.
working next year. Well, I can tell you this much. You don't want to work at a claim with that guy. Yep. And I'd say that, that's a valuable thing to learn early and cheap. If you can't trust somebody, you want to know it at the get-go,
Yeah, I see your point, Dennis.
Yeah, she's a, she likes the bright hair and everything. She seems to be a decent person. Can't tell for sure what her qualifications are in terms of how good is she at a geologist. She's obviously, studied geology to a great extent. Aside from that, I don't know. But I say that is a rookie mistake in the gold mining business. I mean, geologist is one thing, gold miner is another, and don't do that.
Well,
Make sure you've got it.
There's claim owners that'll have you do their work.
Yeah.
So you
And then
you
say
gotta-
bye.
Yeah, you definitely want an agreement, and at some point we will get into doing some stuff with agreements here. I have a pretty good placer thing that I've worked out and gotten information from some other guys.
Kind of a
and it's
formula.
kind
so
of
to
a
speak?
formula
Okay.
that's worked out fairly well and covers most of the details. I can't take credit for the whole thing because I did go to some other placer miners asking, what are you guys doing? How are you doing it? Can I see your contract?
The name of the show is Frozen Gold. It's on the Weather Channel, and Ray Rusaw is kind of the ramrod of the operation. And then there's Ellie from Ellie Knows Rocks, and they got 4 other people, and they were just kind of all thrown together for this. As far as I know, they didn't know each other beforehand, and it's had its problems. And Ray was asking if we could come up with any ideas, so we've been trying to help him out a bit. And it's just one of those things that it's a very challenging situation anyhow. They don't have any they haven't located any good concentrations of gold. They're in frickin' Greenland,
Yeah.
and it's, a boat, like a 30-mile boat ride from, the nearest town. Yeah. Weather Channel on cable TV. And so it's, a very challenging situation just from the get-go. I will say that Ray seemed to be a pretty good fabricator to come up with a small, basically a high banking style wash plant in Greenland.
Yeah.
In 3 days. He put it all together, the crash box, everything, in 3 days. And as I say, it's I'm impressed with his ability to put something together, but they need exploration and stuff like that. And that is the challenge. They don't have anything found that's really good at this point.
And that's true of any area. Here it's just easier because you can drive there with the truck. It's a little different to go to Greenland and fly in and boat here and boat there. And the logistics of the whole thing is a huge hurdle because of the cost and a short window of opportunity. Time will tell if they can have some success there, because it's going to take time to find what you're looking for and then figure out how to deal with it.
Yeah.
But
Terry, she seems to be an okay geologist. I don't know if she's a great geologist. I can't say that she's not. She's relatively pretty, but what does that matter to the rocks? Does she try and use her looks a little bit? Not a whole lot that I've noticed.
I didn't think so, but
Yeah.
I haven't watched enough episodes of it. I've seen her on her YouTube channel too, Ellie Knows Rocks, and she seems to know some geology.
Yeah.
I'll give her some credit there.
Yeah.
So,
and say so. She seems to have reasonable skills as a general geologist.
But
there's a big difference between a general geologist
and dealing
and
with
a gold exploration geologist.
Right, and dealing with claim owners and stuff. That's probably not in her forte, but she's learning it, I guess, the hard way.
She's learning it. And Ray, he admits right off the bat that, we're kind of in over our head.
Yeah.
But we got offered a deal, and it's an adventure of a lifetime, and why not?
I don't know. I jumped in it when I started over my head too, in a way. I did have a good background in, field work and things, but it's a big jump to say, I'm going to go gold mining.
Oh yeah. And I gotta give them all credit for, doing it.
Yeah.
it's a challenging thing, and that's why we're trying to help out. If we can give them any tips, advice, or whatever that might help them, because I'd love to see them succeed. It would be just great if they, struck it big. Yeah.
Exactly, Dennis. We were discussing that they need to work on test holes and only testing. Don't try to jump to mining until you figured out something to mine.
Well,
and unfortunately, people want, if they're going to invest money, they want to see returns fast. And this is not a fast return business.
No. Well,
you have to do your homework if you're going to make money in the end.
And that particular area looks pretty challenging for a small portable drill because of the giant rocks.
Oh yeah, drilling, it really is going to be holes, digging holes one way or another. But
yeah,
the testing becomes the bigger importance. I don't care whether it's hard rock or placer.
Mm-hmm.
You need to do the testing and the geology and figure it out to get to that point of, is it mineable? And that was kind of a subject that I was going to play with tonight, but maybe after Eva's thing or some, we'll get into that. Is it mineable?
And I'm going to do a little comment here that may fluster some people a little bit. But last night, Eva's on the bed doing her thing or whatever. And we were having a discussion. It was getting a little bit not combative or whatever, there were some disagreements we're trying to work through and this and that. And then all of a sudden Eva's head pops over my shoulder and she puts in her 2 cents. It's like, and I look back and she hadn't bothered to put anything on.
Oh shit.
I was not on camera. I was not on camera.
And it was funny because my usual thing here, it's like, no.
No.
And may I also point out that goddesses are known to hang out naked.
Yeah, well, her thermostat fluctuates a bit. She's an older, well, not an older woman, but
yep.
she's in menopause.
I'm
Plus,
older than dirt.
She's got some health issues and stuff, so she'll be hot, she'll be cold, whatever. We can't just turn the thermostat up and keep her happy. So it's easier just to put on clothes, take off clothes, and stuff like that. That has not been determined yet, Dennis. We are, we're working to try and help Ray come up with a good plan and everything, et cetera, for next year and get a good, successful second season. And our opinion is they should get some geophysics done first.
Yep.
Because that's the quickest way to cover a lot of territory. And then once you've found targets with your geophysical, geomagnetics, you're looking basically for concentrations of heavy minerals. And that's, the quickest way. Not right now, not here. Goldstream, that's not going to work. But yeah, that's it.
Y'all are going to be talking about
Oh
me.
boy, yeah. That got everybody woke up again. Pay attention though.
Yeah. So it was just kind of funny. As a matter of fact, one time last night she came in, she put on her little hard hat and said, okay, time for my input. And it's like, okay, here you go. Do it. And that Goldstream says, I'm in. Yeah. It was just a funny little anecdote there. But yeah, it was kind of surprising. It was like, okay, I see why she's just poking her head up over my shoulder. I had a good time last night. Terry was there, and Mr. Lodak
was there.
And I don't think Brian is on tonight here. Brian was there. We were talking to like 12:30 in the morning here. And so where Brian and Terry are, it was almost 3:00 in the morning before we finally called it. Well, I called it a night. Terry, did you guys keep last time I was there? You guys were still going back and forth. Yep. Actually, that has happened in some mines, Goldstream. Yeah. Yeah, some mines that have really high grade ores.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, so you're up there in Nova Scotia also? It's not the sparks, Adam. It's the razor sharp glass shards. Yeah.
He stayed on another half hour.
Another
after
half hour.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
Well, Terry was pretty much over the night just kind of watching, and he jumped in right at the end there because Brian is in Maine and Terry's in Nova Scotia. And so, they started talking local stuff and everything. And
By
I
the
was
way,
getting
on
tired.
that particular story, Bear, several other non-conventional outlets have picked it up.
Uh-huh. That one we discussed on the
Yeah.
Zooming. The other nice thing, because it was a Zoom meeting, you didn't have to worry about YouTube rules. And that freed up the conversation a bit. Yeah. So apparently Eva says what I...
Up 41%, up 3.5 times in 2021.
Yeah. Interesting data that we can't discuss on YouTube. Yeah, and the diamond mines, they will often X-ray you. Because the diamonds will fluoresce in X-ray. Yep. But and they would go through a lot. For some reason, when you have a bunch of miners and some gold just sitting there, some of them get very creative in how to take the gold out of the mine without the mine owners knowing it. At my brother said there was a mine in South Africa. They came up with a really sneaky idea. They took a steel pedestal 100 feet from the gate with a flat plate on top, and they put 1 cubic foot of gold on it. And the rule was if you could pick that up and carry it out the gate, you couldn't drag it, you couldn't use anything else. You had to use your bare hands, pick it up, carry it out the gate. You could keep it. And so all these miners are working, doing everything they can to get stronger. Do you know how much a cubic foot of gold supposedly weighs?
A lot.
Like 1,200 pounds. Yeah, I thought it was kind of cool with Mr. Lodak and Brian looking at the world from a totally different direction and me from a third, and all trying to discuss things and try and see it from each other's standpoint. I thought that was pretty cool. What's the tallest mountain in Montana? Adam wants to know.
I think it's in
Don't look at
Glacier,
me, I'm
but I'm
digging
not
into
sure.
it with things.
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's see here.
Tallest mountain in Montana.
Let's
I think
see.
it's up in Glacier.
That wouldn't surprise me. I think it's those mountains just south of it,
Yeah, it could very well be.
because those are some pretty high-looking ones.
I think at one time I might have known the answer to that, but
And then you got old.
Yeah, the New York
Yeah.
Post of all places.
Really, that's
Yeah, they discussed it in more general terms that I will be discussing on the Tinfoil Hat Report because there is a way I could discuss this without getting us banned.
Wilson Peak, according to Gold Panner.
Wilson Peak. How high is it, Gold Banner? And where is it roughly?
Yeah, Jeff said the same thing.
13,000.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. No, I don't have a minute shop kick. So where the hell is Wilson Peak, Montana?
Good question.
Okay, it's searching. It'll take it a while for them.
Right there.
Wow, it didn't take too long at all. Well, there's Mount Wilson.
Wilson Peak. The picture right to the left.
That's the state of Colorado there. Utah. There's a Wilson
Big
Peak
Sky,
in Utah.
Montana, Wilson Peak hiking.
San Juan Mountains. That's Colorado. I guess you just type in Wilson Peak MT and it can't figure it out, huh? So let's try and spell it. There we go. There's Montana. Okay.
Big Sky property. It says elevation 14,000.
Granite Peak is elevation 12,808 feet, and it's officially listed as the highest mountain.
Yeah, because Wilson Peak is there's one in
The
Colorado.
highest natural point in the state. 10th highest state high point in the nation. Lies within the Absaroka Beartooth Wilderness in Park County, very near the borders of Stillwater County and Carbon County.
Wherever those are. Carbon, I think, is in the south central part of the state.
That's the range. It'd be south of Bozeman over toward
What's the
down
Billings, towards
Park
Billings.
County's
We got quite a few
Park County's
mountains.
down toward
We've got
Yellowstone.
quite a few mountains that tall, actually.
Yeah.
It's in the Beartooth Mountains, if you want to get exact here.
Heavy Meadow, as to the best I can determine, yes. It's hard for me to vet all the sources, and I usually don't. I just kind of look, and see where Eva's saying the information she said last night apparently has been being reported by multiple sources, but she'll get on that in her tinfoil hat report, which should be pretty interesting. Let's see, 406, someone from Montana. Hello.
Hi, this is Mary with the Woodland Park County Health Department.
I'm just fine. The first test was positive. The second test was negative. So, yeah. It was apparently a false positive because the second test was only 8 hours later. So, it does happen, though.
So wherever the Beartooth Mountains are.
Pardon?
Big Sky.
Okay.
Over.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Bye-bye. No, Heavy Meadow. She just does we call it the tinfoil hat report here. It's on regulations, government, and, things that aren't instantly directly related to gold mining.
Prepping and tinfoil hat stuff. When you see
Yep.
the helmet stick around or not.
Actually, Roberts, that was the Lewis and Clark County Health Department letting me know that I can now unisolate. They're going to send me a release letter so that I can frolic about the countryside without facing civil and criminal penalties. Yeah. So anyhow, and she just is on that smartphone almost constantly, and she comes up with some interesting information. And you bet against Eva at your peril. Trust me. She's a smart girl. She's a skeptical girl. She knows how to spot BS.
Bullshit. Yeah.
Pretty good. And I don't know why she puts up with me, but but anyhow, so
Because you have a life insurance policy, you're still more marginally more than.
she's
Of
also,
course, with inflation, this is
It
getting
might not
much
matter.
easier.
hey Jim, can you look between the shoulder blades? I feel a sharp stabbing pain.
Hold a knife out.
She's also good with her words.
Sharp tongue.
Oh, most of the platinum's over there by Stillwater, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Stillwater mine.
South central part of the state. Yep. Yeah, I'm not sure, John, how well that works financially. We had a miner for a while, and it didn't pay a whole heck of a lot, but it did make something. And no, Goldstream, I didn't make her a ring. I made her a necklace, labradorite and sterling silver.
Ahem.
Yeah.
It is time for me to show it off. The one and only piece of jewelry he ever designed. And it was the envy of the buyers at the gem show every year in Tucson when we went. Everybody wanted to buy it.
Yeah, Heavy Meadow. It was pretty interesting, all right. I agree. Hello, Pushkar. How are you? We're all surviving over here.
Oh yeah.
Seems like we're doing fine. Montana, it's not too bad. Some other places, I was talking to a friend who was near the southern border that things were going less than stellar down there where he was at.
And in the weather department, almost 1 million people are without power tonight in the southeast.
Okay. 1 million people. Now, that's going to be difficult down there, but up here, if the power went out, it would be life-threatening in a hurry to a lot of people.
Yeah, with the cold temperatures.
Yeah. I mean, I can't imagine just the motel here what you would do if the power is going to be out for a while, because all the plumbing is going to start freezing and stuff like
That's
that.
the problem is you end up with a lot of bad things because of the no heat.
Yep. I tend to agree, Ethan, but we'll discuss that to what extent we discuss it on the tinfoil hat report, because he was very sneaky about these things. Oh yeah, Dennis. Yeah, she's pretty feisty. Luckily, she loves me very much, and she takes darn good care of me. You've seen that, Jim.
Yep.
Absolutely. And
Somebody has to do it.
probably. There's just only so many generators you can have, Goldstream. How did the indigenous people survive? They knew what they were doing, and they were prepared for it.
And they have lots of heavy skins.
Chris says his power is still going to be out for weeks out there at Forest Hill, because in his case, it was heavy snow bringing trees down on power lines. You know. Have the cops seen my forehead? Oh, yeah, that's right. We were having this, and she just smacked me in the head. Yeah.
Don't even
Hey,
try.
Tricky.
No. As my ex-wife used to say, Terry, I've got to sleep sometime. Yes, David, we are spoiled. Pretty badly spoiled. And spoiled to the extent that we'll do stupid things and listen to lies rather than just bite the bullet and do what needs to be done. And I think that's going to come and bite us in the ass here fairly quickly.
Yeah, I think that there's some
I guess.
reality heading for us, I think.
Depending upon the situation, it may be either a freight train or a 747. One of the, if some of these things prove out to be accurate reports and indicative of the larger situation, oh yeah. Robert says that he just saw a ship report. While LA's bad, the whole country of Japan is surrounded by ships, many times worse off than LA. I don't know.
What?
He says Japan has a ship problem like the West Coast does.
Yes, it does, and so does China. In fact, China's is twice as bad as LA's.
Yeah. Around here, we have a lot of people that have fireplaces.
Yeah.
Which would make...
Yeah, wood is pretty prevalent here yet.
Yeah. I don't think you'd see many people die because there's enough places with wood heating that people would just move in and say, and it's a pretty community-oriented community.
Yeah.
You know, people are helpful and this and that and the other. The problem would be the damage to so many structures from the ruptured plumbing and stuff that it would make them unlivable for a significant period of time, and that would be tough. But yeah, like in our case, just across the street there, they got a wood stove and a pellet stove. Of course, the pellet stove wouldn't work, but the wood stove would.
Yep.
And that'll keep you alive. You, I don't know if there's a door between those two sections there or not, but you could certainly put up a barrier. Yep.
Well, we'd be fine here except we lose water.
Yeah. In terms of gems, while there are gems here, specific, I mean, there's sapphires right over there. How far is it to that mine that you showed? It's what, about
From here?
20, 30 miles line of sight?
Yeah, 20 miles maybe.
Yeah.
From line of sight from
Yeah,
here
to a sapphire mine
to
over
sapphire
there.
mine across the lake here.
Yeah. We have sapphires. There are crystals and stuff. Mines, we have both gold mines and the base metal mines, a lot of silver and a lot of the lead mines and such. So there's a lot of stuff, but it's not, I don't do maps like that. I read reports and such, and there will be maps in there. But there's a lot of information from the Montana Bureau of Mines and Mineral Resources. You can get publications from them that will get you a lot of information. Possibly, Ethan. I don't know. Well, I haven't seen Zioxio for a couple weeks.
Yeah, he hasn't been on.
He's
lately.
pretty good on that.
Yeah, he's a gem guy that's usually on here.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's doing. He might be working at this point. He's usually a student, but he might have wound up. I know he was looking to get a job somewhere. Well, we have a little buddy in a propane tank. We can live in the back of our camper without too much
the
problem.
ones I would check out, guys, are the new diesel heaters. Those Chinese diesel heaters are pretty neat.
I'm not sure, Chris. I haven't seen him lately, but I know he was looking for some work somewhere.
Yeah, he was. I thought he said he was going to be working down at Stillwater or something, wasn't he, for a while?
Something like that.
So he might be working a night shift or a bad run.
It's not going to get that cold here, I don't think, Adam, but it might get down to minus 15, minus 20. I'm going to have to take a break for a minute. You got it, Jim.
Yeah.
Ride herd on these folks.
Yeah, well, it was pushing that here, Adam, the other day. That the wind was definitely below 30, minus 30. It was cold. I've had quite a few nights below zero though. Yeah, that's propane in the future might be easier to get though than some of the distillates. Although quite a few of your kerosene stoves you can modify to go to regular diesel fuel. Yeah, Roberts, they do. You can play with the slick plate. It really, the slick plate above the sluice helps you just to kind of get some resorting of material and get a stream going. So yeah, it doesn't have to be tipped as much as the sluice. Yeah, that's true, John. Waste oil is fine if you have a good source of it, but I think Alan's over toward Bozeman, if I'm not mistaken. I have talked to him, but he's got some claims, and he usually is up here in the summer in this area, kind of poking around in the mountains. So he's not a long ways away, but I know he doesn't live here at Helena. Oh yeah, there's a lot of solutions to a heating problem if you can figure out, a good source of product. Oh, come on, Adam. Any other questions, guys? Did you make biodiesel, John? I know guys who have, and they've ran it and it's seemed to work. It's just getting enough used oil or whatever to, work with vegetable oil.
Yeah, different sources are putting a different spin.
There's fine gold in the Missouri River all the way from here
It looks like the basic
back,
information is confirmed.
and the Yellowstone River also has got a lot of fine gold.
Basically, yeah.
But and you can find sapphire along the Missouri here by Helena, and that you can find sapphires also. But it's fine gold. It's if you're looking to find a decent amount of gold, you're much better off to go into one of these drainages up on these other in the mountains.
Well, in India, they're just focusing on the fact that this is going to lead, that this is cutting into the insurance company's profits. Okay, that was a pure.
Not necessarily true, Roberts. You can get down pretty fine if you get your sluice dialed in and you have the right carpets and length, of course, to get separation. Exactly, Chris. Thank you.
Documents I have seen so far show that these excess deaths listed as, people who have suffered COVID or, whatever.
Yeah, I would agree with you, Chris. You can get down pretty darn fine. Maybe even finer than 400 if everything is working correctly and you're doing your cleanups correctly without losing that fine gold in your cleanup. Tricky, you didn't miss a whole lot. We've been just kind of scrambling through here tonight.
It is
jumping
almost time
around
for the tinfoil hat report, and it will be relatively short.
All right. Well, Eva will be up here in a few minutes, and
Yeah, Tyler Durden posted on Zero Hedge about that incident.
oh yeah, there's a lot of information out there.
Oh yeah.
Oh, by the way,
Jeff, I use the miner's moss in my boxes, but I also put a real fine indoor-outdoor carpet under them so that I can clamp them really, really well to the bottom of my boxes. Get my riffles down into the carpet good. And having that finer carpet underneath tends to be the spot where you pick up that really, really fine gold. It will migrate down through that miner's moss real well. Oh yeah, Roberts, you get down to where it literally, like when we do cleanups on the RP4 table, it'll look like smoke in the water almost, but it'll be a real fine line of really, really minute gold. Okay, Alan's up by Kalispell. I knew he wasn't right in this area, Dennis. I just wasn't sure how. Kalispell from here is about, I don't know, 3.5 hours, 3 hours north
Alan
of here.
who?
Alan Robertson.
He's actually the caretaker for a ranch. I know the people. It's up the lakes, just north of Sealy Lake. I think it's near Summit Lake.
Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
but
So
in
up
that
toward
area there.
Kalispell. All right. So he's still, 2.5 hours north of here. I don't know if I can answer that, Dennis. I'd have to do a little looking. I know the western part of the state has some really good gold.
And while I'm thinking about it, I want to publicly thank Jim here. He goes and collects out-of-date groceries and stuff like that. And we quite often get a really helpful care package from him of some really nice stuff that we normally wouldn't afford. And it keeps it from going to waste. But I just want to thank you for that. It's really nice. Yep.
Yeah, they do have a dredging permit here, Argonaut. How hard it is to get, I do not know. We have used a dredge within our claims where, we're away from the creek and stuff, just for cleanups in the bottom of our cuts and stuff. But to actually dredge within a creek, I'm not sure what loopholes they'd make you jump through.
Yeah.
You can do high banking as long as you're letting your tailings run out on the ground. So you can use a high banker. It's another permitting issue unless you're on private land, patented claims or something. But you can use high bankers and things here.
Define popcorn gold, Chris. I'm not sure exactly what you're talking about.
Cornflakes.
Lighter, bigger.
I'm thinking like, flakes that are kind of crumpled up into a
Yeah.
three-dimensional solid or something, but I don't know.
Folded.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Folded gold.
Like a crumpled sheet of paper. Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't get too many of those in my job. Darn it. Could be Roberts. There he is.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty much.
Like little dendritic trees or something like that.
Yeah.
Dendritic trees? Cool.
It would depend on, Jeff, where you're at. If you're going to pull directly from a stream, very possibly you would have to get a water permit. Depending on drainages and location too, some of these areas, the main water rights go to mining first, which they did historically. And it's the same today. So if you can dig a hole and you have good water, you can utilize that water for mining without a permit. If you're going to draw from a stream that has water permits on it, then you need a water permit.
What about the situation where, let's say you had a stream and it was not the use of the water, but the clarity and things like that. Can you like dig a hole in the gravel on the side of the stream to suck from and then dump
That's what
your stuff in the other side so that it naturally filters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You can pull water. I think the jet dry gives you lose the surface tension of the water better than the Dawn, but I use both, Roberts.
Well-
as far as liquid hand soap or something, I've never tried it. I prefer Dawn or Jet Dry.
I agree with Goldstream that for the same amount of surfactant effect, you get less sudsing
Yep, the Jet Dry.
with the Jet
Yeah.
Dry.
Yep.
Absolutely.
No, I try to get the big bottles of Jet Dry as well.
Multiple
I wanna find out what it
messages.
is.
I'm not sure what you're saying here. I'm not seeing multiple messages. Just a second here. I never switched over to live chat either, so I might have been missing something. Okay, let's go. Pool surfactant. Never heard of pool surfactant. What is it called? Is it just surfactant, or does it have some typical weird name like,
There's all different surfactants. I mean, in crop spraying and that, we used to use surfactants all the time for.
Is it private land, blind dude?
Yeah, if it is private land, blind dude, and they own the mineral rights,
Yeah.
because that would be the kicker in that situation. It's fine if they own the surface rights, but if they don't own the minerals, they can't dig there either.
Yeah, I would think for a wash plant, something like, commercial surfactants, in the 5-gallon can, maybe,
Well, the biggest thing with placer mining, and this has been an issue with the dredging, is when you're adding a product, that becomes an issue. If all you're doing is removing, soil and gravels from one hole and putting it in another hole, you're not adding a contaminant or anything to it. So it's something you have to kind of be a little bit careful of. I mean, running a surfactant in a recycling system or something would be a non-issue for the most part.
until you
As far
close
as
it down.
and cleanups, if you're doing cleanups in a recycling system of water tanks and stuff, there's no big issue there. But trying to run a surfactant, with high bankers or, somewhere where you're dumping would, if you got caught, would be it would be an issue.
Yeah. Lars, we're talking surface tension, not just tension in general.
Attention.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly, Goldstream. It becomes an environmental issue.
What's SLS? I was wondering myself. Do you have any idea?
I have no idea. SLS.
Chris, what the heck is
We
SLS?
probably should know. It's something simple.
Silicon lithium sulfide. So what's SLS, Chris? Everyone's waiting.
Sodium lauryl sulfide. It's same as in
Shampoo.
shampoo. Yeah.
So you can get your gold and glistening hair too, huh?
Yeah.
Keep it away from Eva.
What?
Blind, it depends on whether you own the mineral rights. A
Yeah.
lot of that stuff, the mineral rights are not with the land because it was originally homesteaded, and the Homestead Act was only for surface rights, water rights, that sort of stuff. It didn't cover the mineral rights. That was the mining law. And so much of the land out west here does not have the mineral rights associated with it. But those mineral rights you can claim if your property, the mineral rights are open, there's no reason you can't claim it on your own property. Yep.
Well, Goldstream, I do know, of some operations that have used flocculants in their, for their tailings pond separation, because that way they can re-pull water back through their plant. They can recycle a certain amount of water at least. And they haven't been hassled on it, but possibly it's a similar situation. As long as it's being filtered through the ground and everything, there's not a big contamination issue. But I would say you'd have to have the MSDS sheets, or, the material data safety sheets and everything. And you'd have to have it all figured out, because you don't want to get yourself in a problem.
Okay. Can I file a claim on somebody else's property? In many cases, the answer is yes. However, there's a special procedure. You have to give them a notification a certain time period beforehand. And if they don't file the appropriate stuff in return to prevent you, you pretty much can go out there and stake your claims. Now, one thing they can do is stake their own claims. It gives it.
Not once you file the paperwork.
Really?
Yep. If you filed a letter to them and with Bureau of Land Management at the same time, as far as mineral rights, they can't jump the claim, or they can't. You have first right at that point.
Okay. Cool.
We've done this on some ranches here that people were like, oh, wow, okay. Once they found out what the law is, other people were like, what the hell do you mean you just claim the mineral rights out here?
Yeah.
Because they didn't even realize they didn't own them.
Well,
but
that still means can you disturb the surface?
You have to compensate them for that if you're going to do surface disturbance on, or
Who decides how much is adequate compensation?
That's kind of where you have to work it out. But the law stays with the minerals and the mineral holder, so you actually have more ownership than the surface owner does in a mining situation. So, and normally the courts rule toward the mining situation. Okay. So the landowner, it kind of has to be nice too about it, or they get kind of in a bad situation there too.
Yeah. You can obviously tunnel under the land if it was like a load claim, or if it was deep placer where you were going after a paleo channel, like what Jeff Williams does.
Yeah.
As long as you don't disturb the surface, they're pretty much can't do anything, right?
No, you're just, even when these drilling crews come in on oil, they'll try to keep their footprint, to, let's just say 1 acre, but from that 1 acre,
they can drill a square mile.
They can drill 4 square miles.
Really?
Yeah, they can go into that square mile. They can alternate directions. And Goldstream, I'm sure, and some of them guys have seen it up there in Canada. I mean, literally, they can go for 4 different directions a mile at a time.
Well, that tasted good. Okay, let me. I don't even see a. There it is.
Do you have one?
I do. I don't think I can do it. Let's see what happens. I'm going to click it.
No, you can't do it. You're the live stream.
That's what I think. I don't think you can do it to yourself.
Yeah.
Well, you can do thumbs up something, but it's not on.
In placer or whatever, it would be working out, an agreeable solution to the reclamation of what the landowners, how they want it to look when you're done mining it.
In some cases, they may be happy to let you disturb the surface.
In a lot of cases, you can actually it's a giant landscaping project. You can actually put it back better than it looked before you started mining it, if you want.
If they'll allow it. I was this was years ago, but it was like in West Virginia, some coal mining company wanted to take the top off a hill, take the coal out, and the landowner said, leave it flat.
Yeah.
I can use it much better.
Farm it then, or do something with it after the fact.
The regulators wouldn't allow it. It had to be put back in the shape it was originally, Yeah. I think we have several times, John. By the way, I did find out that freight for 1 ton of Goldex from Montreal to Helena would run about $1,800. If anyone was just curious on that.
That's cheap right now.
Yep.
Yeah. What isn't Chinesium?
Isn't it Chinesium chloride?
It's pretty hard to find anything that isn't Chinesium. Which is sad. Are you going to get up and do your report, Eva?
Yep.
It's almost 8.
Okay.
We're going to get Eva in here for a few minutes and then we'll be back.
Oh, y'all just slacking. This is what's going on here.
Pretty much, yeah. Well, I could do more if it wasn't for that dagger between my shoulder blades.
What dagger?
The rhetorical dagger. That
He's
was
delusional. Utterly delusional. We all know this. Hello, everybody, and Happy New Year. So we'll start with mining stuff. When it comes to gold, since that's everybody's favorite thing except mine, of course, gold price extends loss with bond yields and equities rallying. Gold extended its decline heading into 2022, falling by more than 1% on Monday as a risk-on rally in equities pressured bullion, with investors shrugging off concerns surrounding the Omicron coronavirus variant. Spot gold dipped 1.6% to $17.9950 an ounce, set for its biggest single-day decline in over a month. U.S. gold futures also fell 1.6% to $17.9940 an ounce in New York. S&P 500 futures approached record levels on Monday as equity markets look to extend a recovery from the pandemic shock into the new year. Benchmark 10-year U.S. Treasury yields, meanwhile, rose to a 6-week peak, drawing investors away from non-yielding bullion. Also pressuring gold by making it more expensive for overseas buyers, the dollar rose against a basket of major currencies, tracking government bond yields as investors anticipate the U.S. Federal Reserve to stay on its path of interest hikes in 2022. Rising yields, a firmer dollar. Yeah, right. Where was I? Rising yields, a firmer dollar, and improved risk sentiment are boosting equities, collectively putting pressure on the gold market.
probably,
Wow.
John.
Rising yields, a firmer dollar, and improved risk sentiment. Okay.
Improved risk sentiment?
Improved risk sentiment. Yeah.
That must have been that
Bullion
a
ended.
financial advisor somewhere, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bullion ended the previous calendar year down 3.6%, the biggest annual decline since 2015, as major central banks around the world started to dial back pandemic-era stimulus to fight inflation. UBS analyst Giovanni Staunovo said rising U.S. interest rates and declining inflation over the course of 2022 could weigh on gold, forecasting a price of $16.50 by the end of the year. Some investors view gold as a hedge against higher inflation, but bullion is highly sensitive to rising U.S. interest rates, which increase the cost of holding the commodity. With major markets all closed for holidays, investors will look forward ahead to the release of the minutes from the Fed's latest meeting on Wednesday and U.S. non-farm payroll figures due out Friday. Okay, there's a few things to unpack there, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, okay. There's a few things to unpack there. And some interesting news on the lithium-ion batteries here. Japanese researchers find formula for fast-charging lithium-ion batteries. A team of scientists at the Japan Advanced Institute of Science and Technology have developed an approach to anode fabrication that could lead to extremely fast-charging lithium-ion batteries. In a paper published in the journal Chemical Communications, the researchers explained their strategy constitutes a relatively simple, environmentally sound, and efficient way to produce a carbon based anode with a very high nitrogen content. It's already known that one way to shorten the charging time of LIBs is to increase the diffusion rate of lithium ions, which in turn can be done by increasing the interlayer distance between the carbon based materials used in the battery's anode. This has been
Everyone
achieved
knows
with some
that.
success by introducing nitrogen impurities, which are technically referred to as nitrogen doping. Ooh, they're doping batteries. This is cool. However, there's no method to easily available to control interlayer distance or concentrate the doping element. To address the issue, the Japanese group used
Call it Washington.
benzimidazole, a bio-based polymer that can be synthesized from raw materials of biological origin as the precursor material for the anode. By calcinating this thermally stable material at 800 degrees Celsius, the team managed to prepare a carbon anode with a record-setting nitrogen content of 17% in weight. They verified the successful synthesis of this material and studied its composition and structural properties using a variety of techniques, including scanning electron tunneling microscopy, Raman spectroscopy, and X-ray photoelectron spectroscopy. To test the performance of the anode and compare it with more common graphite anodes, the researchers built half cells and full cells and conducted charge-discharge experiments. The proposed anode material proved suitable for fast charging thanks to its enhanced lithium-ion kinetics. Moreover, durability tests showed that the batteries with the proposed anode material retained about 90% of their initial capacity even after 3,000 charge-discharge cycles at high rates, which is considerably more than the capacity retained by graphite-based cells. In the researchers' view, modification to the structures of the polymer precursor could lead to even better performance, which might be relevant for the batteries not only of EVs but also portable electronics. The extremely fast charging rate with the anode material we prepared could make it suitable for use in EVs, team leader Noriyoshi Matsumi said in a media statement. Much shorter charging times will hopefully attract consumers to choose EVs rather than gasoline-based vehicles, ultimately leading to cleaner environments in every major city across the world. I think we're going to need to crunch some numbers on that one. According to Matsumi, another notable advantage of the proposed anode material is the use of a bio-based polymer in the synthesis. As a low-carbon technology, the material naturally leads to a synergistic effect that further reduces CO2 emissions. Interesting. Gonna have to keep an eye on that one. New year, new hope for gold and silver investors. Let's see what we have here. Silver and gold prices. Darn it. Silly thingy coming up on the screen here. I hit the wrong thing. I'm trying to get back to where I was. Don't you hate it when you hit things on your little tablet widget?
I don't have a tablet widget.
Well, I have a tablet widget, okay?
It would probably bite me or something.
I have a tablet widget and it's a pain in the neck. Silver and gold prices way underperformed investors' expectations in 2021. Perhaps most frustrating of all, the fundamentals were there, driving unprecedented retail demand for physical bullion. Inflation fears crept into markets. The Feds maintained ultra-accommodative monetary policy, including zero interest rates and massive debt monetization. 2021 was also a nasty year for confidence in major institutions. Nervous buyers switched paper assets into physical metal at a record pace. Seasoned metal investors know great fundamentals don't necessarily mean rising prices. Price discovery in the paper markets is broken. In the short run, it can be totally disconnected from the factors driving supply and demand for physical. One of the big questions for 2022 is whether we will see better price performance. In the longer run, fundamentals do matter. That is why gold and silver prices are multiples of what they were 20 years ago. This year, the case for owning physical gold and silver promises to get even stronger in the months just ahead. I strongly suggest junk physical silver, the most fungible thing out there. Most people are a little wary of gold coins they don't recognize. Just saying, you know.
Paul, translation. The Japs came up with a better way to make a lithium battery, And so therefore they're going to need more lithium and rare earths for electric vehicles.
We're going to get to this in a minute. Price inflation will continue to rage. Higher wages, supply chain troubles, and labor shortages are not going to disappear anytime soon. Deliberate government and central bank actions are responsible for the turmoil. Americans can expect more economic interventions, restrictions, mandates, and artificial stimulus. No, I can't do it in Gaelic, unfortunately, Lars. I can work on it, though. I could probably do Igpe Atenlay if anyone wants to speak that today. The moment of reckoning cannot be far off for the Fed. The central bank is caught between spiraling price inflation and markets hopelessly addicted to never-ending stimulus. Fed bankers are trying to maintain the illusion they can quickly step in and control the erosion the Federal Reserve notes purchasing power without putting the U.S. economy in the ditch. They're telegraphing rate hikes starting by mid-year. Central planners at the Fed can't make a compelling case as to why markets will tolerate higher rates at this time. They would like people to forget they tried and failed before. The last attempt ended almost before it began when the stock market puked all over rate hikes in the fall of 2018. A collapse in confidence in the Federal Reserve note is not likely in 2022, but the event will draw nearer when Fed bankers once again demonstrate there's no way out of the stimulus trap. Monetary and political turmoil will drive more Americans to acquire gold and silver. Yep. That is how that goes. Now, as to the lithium battery thing, this is very interesting because if the Japanese method that was detailed in this paper proves out and proves to be scalable to the large term, then we're really going to be between a rock and a hard place. First of all, it will be excellent for lithium miners and excellent for people who produce the nitrogen that is used in these systems. However, I meant the nitrogen that was impregnated in the carbon bear. I don't think they shoot air bubbles through it. Okay.
No, they extract 75% of air is nitrogen.
Yeah.
You can make it anywhere.
Well,
cheap.
somebody is still making it. Okay.
Everybody's making it. It's used for a lot of things.
At any rate, the problem here is as this push goes on to move to EVs, green technology, up to a rock and a hard place situation, because all of those things need to be charged somewhere. And the backbone of our charging system is still and will be for quite some time fossil fuels. It is notable that the EU is talking about labeling nuclear energy and natural gas green energy, which would be great because they actually are green energy compared to coal. And there are massive disruptions going on right now in coal mining and coal production and the supply chain because some countries that are facing shortages are banning all exports, and the countries that were reliant on them for their coal have now lost a coal source. We have serious ongoing supply chain problems. So the fossil fuels that do move around the world are not moving around the world as effectively as they used to. And an explosion in electric vehicles would put a tremendous strain on the energy grid in many, many places, including here. I mean, that's just the way it works because the backbone of our grid needs to rely on a truly reliable energy source, which would be nuclear or coal or oil or natural gas. It would not be wind turbines and solar. Those are not reliable energy sources. There has been some improvement in energy taken from waves. For instance, tidal energy projects here and there are beginning to look like they're more viable. But hydroelectric isn't something that could expand everywhere. Geothermal isn't something that can expand everywhere. So on one hand, you have this push to go green, but on the other hand, you cannot go green without using fossil fuels. So it's gonna be interesting to see how they work their way through that particular dichotomy going on here. Yeah, exactly, Goldstream. Where can you plug in 200 miles out in the bush? I don't know. Let's ask Ford. Everybody's making a big deal out of their new Lightning and something called a Rivian, which is a really, really good-looking truck. But I would never own one because guess what? Up here, under the temperatures we have right now, you know, the 250 to 300 degree Kelvin thing, those battery-operated vehicles just do not work very well. They lose a tremendous amount of range when they're very, very cold. It's bizarre. Yeah, I can see that, Chris. As a matter of fact, one of the selling points for the new Ford Lightning is that the thing will power your house for a couple of days on the batteries, if you happen to believe Ford, and if you wanted to buy one, and if you could even get one. That's the other interesting thing. I was taking a look at this Ford Lightning, and apparently you can like pre-order the base model for like $50K, and then you could pre-order the upgraded model for like $70K, and nobody is saying how soon you're actually going to get one. So, yeah, I can imagine, Goldstream. I would think it would be a long drive because even with fast charging batteries, they've yet to come up with a fast charging battery that is anywhere near as fast as filling a tank with diesel or gasoline. And they didn't even say how fast this new technology works compared to the old stuff. So it will be interesting to see what comes up. Yeah, Roberts, the power walls are really something, you know. Got to wonder about all that. The big banks and the financial powers that be are still saying that gold is probably going to break out of its current $1,900 threshold or stuff and could go up as high as $2,200 to $2,500 by the end of the year per ounce. Silver is expected to break out and could go as high as $40 a year, $40 an ounce by the end of the year, which would be really cool. I strongly prefer junk silver over small scale gold myself because it's much easier to use junk silver than it is to use panda coins or maple leaves or Krugerrands or anything like that, especially if you're buying 3 cans of green beans and a loaf of bread. You know, it's just easier. Okay. I mean, between the two, I will take silver over gold any day.
Heretic.
Yeah. Sorry, Bear.
I could barely get that out over the pain of my
So
back.
taking a look at the news on Kitco today, things got really interesting in terms of what the market was doing for everything at the moment. Gold was indeed the best performing precious metal for 2021. Still down 3.64% on the threat of the Federal Reserve beginning to raise interest rates. But gold exploration budgets have increased 43% year over year to a total of $6.2 billion in 2021, outpacing the 35% increase in the global non-ferrous exploration budget. Gold surge was driven by higher junior company financings and exploration plans carried over from 2020. Funds raised by junior and intermediate companies totaled $5.5 billion in 2021, the most since 2012, and a clear sign of heightened investor confidence in the yellow metal. This allowed the junior sector, which has been on the general downward trend in terms of exploration since 2012, to fund its exploration plans. There are more than 200 additional companies exploring for gold in 2021 than there were in 2020. And retail gold sales rebounded in various places. Palladium was the worst performing precious metal, down 22.3% for 2021. Substitution for palladium by platinum is the cure for high prices and has become a stronger force as we closed out the final quarter of the year. Car gasoline sales, where palladium is used to clean emissions, have been impacted by COVID-related work issues, including no computer chips to build cars with. Silver was the second worst performing precious metal for the year on somewhat lighter solar cell supplies. Interesting. This last point, while the dollar moved higher, surprisingly, the real rate on the generic 10-year TIP started the year at minus 1.087 and finished 2021 at minus 0.099, essentially the same place we began. Wow, that is kind of interesting. Very, very much so. Yet gold is around 3% lower. The Fed may have real issues getting rates up, and the workforce, our labor supply, has much more to say about where the economy is going. Labor is now more likely to make gains in unionizing in order to have more bargaining powers. So there's all kinds of interesting things going on in that part of the economic thing. In terms of inflation, I find it interesting that so many of the big article locations out there are saying, and the big voices and the pundits are expressing economic positivity and saying that inflation is bound to go down. They're not back to using the word transitory yet, but they're trying to get there. They're trying to get there very, very hard. That is not translating into the real world. It will not translate into the real world in general because the real world is still quite dysfunctional. This coming from someone who just finished paying $135 more for an all-American canner than it cost 2 years ago. Because mine, after almost over 40 years of service, has a couple of pits in it, so it needed to be replaced. RIP to my All-American 921. It only lasted over 40 years. I mean, it's deplorable, the downturn in quality there. It's supposed to be multi-generational. Oh, well, there's a new one on the way. Amazon is claiming the new one will be here in 4 or 5 days. I'll believe it when I see it. And if it happens, I will fall on my knees to praise the great gods of canning because everywhere else in the world, you're waiting as long for an All-American 921 as you would for a baby. So, yeah, we shall see what goes on there.
Much cheaper than a baby.
Mm-hmm. Well, Chris, a couple of pits, yes, but they're fairly large pits. No idea why. They were hidden under scale. They are probably about 1/4 the depth of the thickness of the side. But Bear says, better safe than sorry because this pressure vessel is a bomb, and it's a pretty big one and it's on a porch and,
Well, one of them.
Besides, it wouldn't hurt to have a second canner. I mean, really, let's face it, 2 canners are better than 1.
One's about 1/16 of an inch deep. One's about 1/8 of an inch deep. Yeah.
And on to other news. Anybody who's planning on getting life insurance and doesn't have any yet, you might want to get it now because the rates are going to go up. Anyone who has insurance and has a chance to increase it at a reasonable price should increase it now because rates are going to go up. As to why rates are going up, apparently the number of life insurance claims for persons 18 to 64 just from one company so far, America One Insurance, went up by over 200% in the last year. And no, those deaths were not listed on the death certificate as related to everyone's favorite pandemic. Just randomly, twice as many 18 to 64-year-olds croaked as would normally have croaked. As a matter of fact, according to one group of actuaries, this spike in life insurance claim benefits has not been seen since 1918. According to the CEO who was discussing it with a group of people, in this particular age group, it has not been seen since life insurance became a thing. Of course, no one has any idea whatsoever why this is happening. The New York Post did very lightly touch on the issue that it might be caused in people with comorbidities that perhaps got that
Make a still out of it.
You bet.
were perhaps involved in that pandemic that we all know and love so much.
I can do that.
But
Now we're
the amount
copper tubing.
of non-interest in why these people 18 to 64 who didn't have health problems are croaking is very, very odd. It's just, it's one of those things. But just so you know, add to your list of things that are going to remarkably increase in price in the next very short term, and things that may be extremely difficult to get because they may change the rules in very short term. You might want to add health insurance and life insurance to that list because the insurance companies are not happy. They paid out an extra $90 billion last year that we've seen so far. That tends to make insurance companies unhappy. Of course, this was also a 2-year period where they posted record profits, but they're still upset. And in a related thing, you'll want to look up someone named Dr. Robert Malone. Dr. Robert Malone has unfortunately been banned from several social media platforms because he is speaking as an expert on certain types of inoculations, specifically ones having to do with mRNA, because he's the one who holds the patent on that particular application of mRNA. This is what he did his entire medical career. And so he has published a very, very interesting video on Substack, and it's shown up on a few other places. You can start tracking it down on Zero Hedge. And there was also a Canadian website of various doctors. I forget the name of it, but Bear may find it. Professor Hardrock may find it and put it in the comments. That released a very interesting video and a very interesting PDF regarding some of the research that's out and about out there concerning different types of inoculations and the science behind these inoculations. So I'm going to be keeping an eye out on this insurance story, because when insurance actuaries are saying that their actuarial tables are not adding up, and they're not adding up for the wrong reasons, and they're not even adding up even if the right reasons were right reasons. They're still wrong reasons. That's kind of bizarre. It's just another bizarre data point in a whole forest of bizarre data points. There are more red flags around right now than in your average communist Mayday party, and we all know this. Shortages are continuing. The problem with ships is continuing. Yes, they are all still over the horizon. Yes, they're all still there. Yes, there are still over 100 of them off the horizon in the Pacific. And that's just on our side. On the Asian side, they've got 1.5 to 2 times as many backed up as we have here. So if you need anything very large and bulky shipped anywhere, between the trucking problem and the shipping problems, ocean container wise, you might want to do it sooner rather than later, because according to the experts in supply chain logistics, the rates are going to go up again. And by mid-year to a little later, if anything else happens in the way of weather, in the way of labor shortages, in the way of lockdowns or anything like that, the prices could double over what they are now. We all know what that's going to do to our food budgets. Later.
Anyhow, so yeah, it's hard to keep information suppressed forever.
Oh no, the truth will come out
Yeah.
on all of it eventually.
Yep.
Eventually.
It may take a while, but it will come out.
75 years if Pfizer gets their way.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I agree, Paul.
Yeah, I think it's going to get hard to get a lot of things real soon here.
It could. And
Well, our trade agreements with China come to a kind of a conclusion here real soon here. I think in January too. The stuff Trump started setting up
not
with
sure.
them. And I believe in January here, some of that kind of falls by the wayside. So
Well, we don't
that
know.
could make for some interesting times ahead here.
That's not a bullet scar, Ricky. Neither am I becoming a Hindu. Me and a rafter had a disagreement as to who should occupy the same space at the same time. And unfortunately for me, the rafter seemed to be a little more insistent on occupying that space than my head. So it wasn't a bad thing, but yeah, it's quite noticeable.
He
but-
was running a material stress test.
Really,
Yes.
it stressed me, that's for sure. Possibly, John. I'm not arguing the case at all. But yeah, it's pretty interesting. The insurance thing is something, again, it's not going to just disappear. If that is correct information, I have no reason to believe it's not. I would think sooner or later they're going to find out what's causing it. Now that's pretty good, Arizona Prepper.
Yeah, that's a good one.
It got
Use
blood
your
stained.
head. Yeah.
I think I injured it because I saw blood on it. So yeah. Yep. A velociraptor. Now that's pretty good, Lars. A velociraptor. I like that. That's an excellent pun, Lars.
Can't say you guys don't have a sense of humor.
I tell you, that's pretty good. But anyhow, for those who came in late, some quick synopsis of what's going on. First of all, the test I did that posted a video last week shows that on our particular ore, the Eco Gold X and the Montana B ore show very little difference in recovery when you go with 60 minutes per hour of agitation versus 5 minutes per hour agitation. 95% recovery in less. So that allows for options that one might not think of. And this is something you should always check instead of assume, because this is the second thing on this project where I was radically wrong in my original guesstimates. Number one was how fast that resin would recover the gold out of solution. It does a much quicker job than I thought.
Assumed.
And I would have thought we'd be lucky to get 80% of the recovery in an intermediate agitation versus a continuous agitation.
Long term, yeah.
95% is pretty amazing. And yeah, Goldstream. Now I have to build an exhaust hood, and then I can start doing more furnace experiments. Hopefully I'll be doing that by the end of the week. I've got a doctor's appointment. There's a Freedom Rally at the state capitol on Thursday. So Wednesday and Thursday are kind of screwed up. Goldstream. Going to be a lot more heads hurt when you start that nudist gold mine. Chris says hard hat required, clothing optional. Now, Lars, I agree with that. All my mining equipment runs on blood. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, the daily occurrence.
And we're just starting some experiments on a quick and imprecise test for both the Goldex solution and actually a semi-precise assay of ores also. And so that's going to be the research for the next couple of weeks. And we'll see how far I get on that. Sorry, I can't do too much stuff. There's just the cold just makes it really difficult to get stuff done. And it's the holidays. People are closed and you can't get stuff to do stuff to get the stuff done. Yeah. Well, come the apocalypse, Gold Stream, the term gold digger can be used in more than one way. Yeah, pretty much, Chris. Oh my goodness.
It's got a life of its own.
Yeah. Oh, but everyone's keeping it clean.
It is.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
no, it's fun.
You know, that's good. It's YouTube allowed.
Yes.
But anyhow, so that's basically what I'm doing, and say hopefully I'll have more research stuff. We're also doing research on something that's currently secret that because we may want to patent it, and if so, we should have that. Jeez, Chris. Oh my goodness. But anyhow,
Can redefine widowmaker probably. There's a few ways this could go.
Yeah. So anyhow, let's say we shall see what we shall see. But if this theory of mine pans out, and I should have a pretty good idea by the end of the day tomorrow when the assay comes back. The methodology is fairly straightforward, and we may be able to make a leaching system, especially a tank leaching system, even simpler to accomplish. So that's where we're going. It should have some kind of notification on that by springtime, because the patent application would be really simple.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not going to take much at all. So that's, yeah, Pat. You and everyone else, damn it. Yep. Good luck on that one, Heavy. That's a 4-letter word. But anyhow, so that's what I'm working on, and I've got a pretty high level of confidence that we can get all of it done, and we will see how well I can do it. But by springtime, I expect to have those issues all resolved and turned into something fairly routine.
It should.
And also, the guy who sent me the resin that didn't work out too well,
Yeah.
he sent me an email. He says, "Oops, I sent you acid resin. Your solution is a basic solution. So can I send you another couple samples of resin?" It's like, okay, go ahead.
Absolutely.
You know, and so we'll test those too. Oh my goodness. I think you're going to have to take over, Jim. Man. Yeah, pretty much, Chris. Yep. Let's say so. Again, this is where you're dealing with a salesperson and not a tech rep. I don't know about south. I think it went sideways.
Yeah,
You know?
yeah, it went sideways.
Oh, but anyhow, so I say that I agree. Pretty good one, Chris. And I agree that that's kind of fun, but everyone needs to be aware too that salesmen are not necessarily knowledgeable in what they're selling. Okay, so if something doesn't seem to be going right, you might double check the information.
Especially in a situation like this.
Yeah. So anyhow, that's pretty much what I'm doing. I'll have some more. I'll have Coulter's results here a couple of days. It might be there by tomorrow afternoon too, because I turned it in this morning, the sample, and that's about it. And this slacker here has just been sitting around, partying.
I wouldn't say sitting around. There's a million things, little things to do, but I will be doing some mine planning for this spring for some testing on that placer prospect. I'm also looking at another placer prospect that might be even more interesting for filming. So there's some things in the works that in the next couple months, I'll get them sorted out.
Oh, for sure, Kodak. You bet, John. Yeah, they're about the dumbest people out there, it looks like, in many cases. What if someone called Hollywood for ugly people?
Yeah.
Did I ever try any magnets on the samples? From Montana B, yes. Coulter stuff, no. Although he has done a magnetic separation and he knows what the ratios are and stuff. So he's, he'll be able to interpolate that. We did try a magnetic separation a while back on the Montana B stuff, and we did not get a good separation of the gold. It wasn't like stuck to the magnetics and able to be concentrated that manner. So I hope that answers your question, David. You're up in Kanukistan, aren't you, Goldstream?
Yeah, Canada.
RN.
I think
that RN or M?
Them here. I think, I don't know, something.
Yeah. No, the Coulter's concentrates are in fact a placer concentrate. They have a lot of magnetics. In the stuff from Montana B, the problem is, there's so much magnetics in it that you don't achieve anything. You wind up with two fractions, both of which have lots of gold. Doesn't do you much good. And Chris. Oh, anyhow. Yeah, Goldstream, what's her name? Lauren Southern said that they just shut down BC again. I think it was just before Christmas or just before New Year's, and it was creating a lot of annoyance among the citizens, especially those who had been told that now that they had voluntarily partaken in a large-scale medical experiment, that they would no longer be restricted. Do you have any input on what the general feelings are running up there? Just out of curiosity. It's not. There's no reason not to just try it out, Tricky Dicky, because it may do some good. It's very cheap. Are they rather annoyed at the government? Is my question, because it was her assertion that there were a lot of very annoyed people who previously were fairly calm about the whole situation because they were now safe. And I don't know. There was a land rush online and their servers crashed and everyone has to try again.
I don't know if that was in British British Columbia or not?
Yeah, I'm not sure where that's at your time. Oh, ours, the Montana bee is slightly basic. Its natural pH is about 8.5. If you add a couple of pounds per ton of lime, it jumps it up to about 9.5. And then when you put the 6 pounds per ton of Eco Goldex in it, it jumps it up a little over 10.5. And then it restabilizes after time at about 10.1, 10.2. Okay. They accidentally opened up ground that belonged to others. Well, that could be. I think there was something about the indigenous peoples in Canada had claimed more land than existed in British Columbia
Yeah,
because there were
First
overlapping claims.
The First Nations.
Yeah. Uh, 3 milligrams. The milligram per kilogram would be parts per million, so that's running 15. Let's see, 3. I can multiply that with about half an ounce to the ton in the magnetics. And
Oh, by the way, meat prices are going to jump again.
Oh yeah.
majorly.
Oh yeah.
ounce and about ounce and a half in the non-magnetic. And yeah, I say that's again, you're still throwing away if you just did a magnetic separation without any leaching, you'd be throwing away half ounce to the ton material. Not terribly useful. You know, some things just don't work, and you just go, okay, let's try it. It's like, nope, trash it. Yep. It's possible, Paul. Yeah, and kicked out. Yeah, what could possibly go wrong with all this? And that's the thing. No Goldstream. I haven't seen Jade Fever. English, not metric. What are you looking at in terms of English, not metric? That's what I did. It was half ounce to the ton for the what was it? Non-magnetics or magnetics? Yeah, it was half ounce to the ton magnetic, an ounce and a half in the non-magnetics, if that helps out. Yeah, Goldstream, I think people are just trying to create tension, you know? And I say, it's just, you know, what do you want to do? Go back 2,000 years ago and decide who owned it then?
Yeah.
You know, there's a reason you have a statute of limitations. Society is simply unworkable without it. You know, this is, as somebody pointed out about the whole concept of reparations for slavery. It's like, well, you know, who gets reparations and why and how much and from whom? You know, if it's tax dollars, well, guess what? Some of the quote unquote victims of slavery who today are a long way down the line, they're going to be paying for it too. It's weird. Really, Paul? Okay. Apparently, BC's having a lot of problems with mining. Says Paul says they've also been shutting down a lot of the mines by claiming any and all water rights and enforcing that. There's also, you know, these indigenous, you know, First Nations claims and this and that. And it's like, okay, which First Nation? Because I mean, you know, they kind of traded land kinetically from time to time too. You know. Exactly, Goldstream. You know, It's again, it's just you see these governments. It seems like they're trying to screw things up. You know, they're doing things which any imbecile can tell is a bad idea, and they're enthusiastically pushing it as hard as possible. Think defund the police. You know. Yep, David. I wouldn't think so, Goldstream. Well, there's your problem, Chris. It was just you, apparently. What's your interpretation of the general populace over there in terms of what's the societal gestalt in terms of how do they feel about how things are going in general? Are they getting fed up with progressivism, or they still think it's going to work if you just do it harder? BLM, Biden loves minors.
Yeah.
Good one, blind dude. Pretty much.
Good catch.
Yeah. But yeah, these say I'm just curious because we all seem to be pretty uniform in a lot of our feelings and stuff. But I wonder how well that extends to society at large. That's another reason I want to go to this freedom rally, is to get kind of a feeling, you know, the protesters, the counter protesters, and like that, and just get an idea of the feeling people are having. Because it is kind of difficult to tell what's going on because you tend to be surrounded by like-minded people and get in an echo chamber. Ed Curry, where do I get some ore looked at? How do you want it looked at? Mineralogically, you want to get it assayed? What kind of examination do you want? I mean, Butte can do electron microscope examination. They're going to answer a lot of questions. It's expensive, but yeah. I wouldn't be surprised, John.
No.
Well,
Well,
I understand Goldstream, but my question is, are people just going, okay, you can do your thing and we'll just not comply in more subtle ways? I don't know. You want it assayed? And I presume you're in the United States. So
Oklahoma City.
now, I use an assayer in Colorado in general, and that's because I've checked him out. He seems to do good work, and he's fast and reasonably priced.
Mainly gold and silver. With you.
Yeah, this would be gold and silver. In terms of, yeah, it's be fire assay of gold and silver, and he calls this thing fast fire assay for a reason. He'll get you your results back in about a week, which is 3 or 4 times faster than a big lab. Costs you $45, including the sample prep. A big lab will typically cost you about $30 to $35, including the sample prep. But it'll take you 3-4 weeks to get stuff back, and some of them have a minimum. Like Skyline has a $300 minimum. That's what I mean, Goldstream. If people just don't pay attention, you can achieve a lot of your goals without a direct conflict sort of situation. I'm getting the feeling that they want a direct conflict so they can stomp, and that's of concern. Okay. I'm not sure. I've got a very, very uneasy feeling about this whole situation.
He should have that, Keith.
If you didn't get it, Eddie, let me know. Okay. But yeah, that's the guy we usually use. In ways, yes, Goldstream. In other ways, no. The emotions of the population, in my opinion, are turning the other way. It's from Telluride, Colorado. Well, he's in Colorado, and he's very experienced with Telluride ores.
Yep.
So that should be a good assayer for what you've got. That's okay, Tricky. How's the family and the baby doing? Yeah, Chris is right. Whenever you send any ore in, you should, if it's a new situation, you should describe it as best you can. That's possible, Goldstream. I don't disagree. You know, you've got that, notwithstanding clause in your charter rights. You know what I'm talking about?
Not really. I'm not.
They can essentially pass a law that's unconstitutional by putting a phrase in it that says, notwithstanding the fact this is unconstitutional, and it's valid until the next election. Because the assumption is, well, if the people really don't like it, they can vote those people out. That's the notwithstanding clause. Wow.
Wow.
I say, I have no idea what different countries are doing in this. I don't think he does assays, Paul. I've got another one over here in Idaho that does a reasonably good job for about the same price, but I don't think Mount Baker actually does assays. I watched his stuff. He furnaces stuff, but he doesn't assay.
He's been doing some smelting.
Yeah. Yeah, Stephen, exactly. Guarantees the rights and freedoms set out in it, subject only to such reasonable limits prescribed by law as can be demonstrably justified in a free and democratic society, whatever that means. You know, that's typical legalese for whatever we decide to define this as. That's why you have to be very careful with laws to make sure there's not wiggle room, because they will always take up all the wiggle room and then some. Yep. Yeah, Paul, I say smelting is different than assaying. Assaying is a very precise science. And
that's the numbers you want.
Yeah, and you need those
real numbers,
highly precise numbers.
And it's third party. So if you have a claim that you wanted to sell or something, that information is data that was created by an outside source.
Well, and you want a registered assayer too.
Right. Well, right.
Yeah.
Somebody who knows what they're doing.
I hope we don't have to get a little more serious than that, David. We shall see. But yeah, interesting times we live in. Ancient Chinese curse. And then, I say, you throw in all these other things. Just the supply chain disruptions in and of themselves, as there was nothing else out there, would be a significant issue to deal with.
Yeah, and it's just one more on top of everything else at this point.
And right now, it's kind of just middle of the pack serious.
Yep.
You know?
Yeah, we're in trouble.
Like my gut, and Mr. Lodak disagrees with me, which is one of the discussions we were having last night. I think that the gold is going to go a lot higher than it is now. But
I disagree with you too, depending on conditions.
Well, that's it. And if you would let me finish the sentence, because I don't think the U.S. dollar is going to maintain its ability to purchase. I mean, I
Purchase
think
anything.
inflation is basically going to go into hyperinflation, and that's going to cause a lot of issues.
I don't necessarily agree with that.
You know,
Time frame wise, it depends.
yeah, it depends exactly, and
But no, we're not going to be the world's reserve currency much longer.
I don't think so either, and that's going to cause a lot of issues.
Well, it depends on how advanced the Great Reset is at the time they pull the trigger, because they're the ones that are going to pull the trigger.
Well, it would be possible that it maintains its value where it's at, and we get hyperinflation and the devaluation, the loss of the dollar's purchasing. But that's still, if you look at Venezuela, an ounce of silver, which at the time, when that started down there, you could buy silver for $11 an ounce. Well, $11 American dollar piece of silver would buy 2 months worth of groceries down there, and their boulevard wouldn't buy anything.
Yeah. I'm not sure what standard we're likely to go to, Paul. But one is, precious metals. Another would be any kind of other commodity, even such as land. I mean, for example, the U.S. government has a lot of land, and it could put that up as collateral, so to speak.
The World Economic Forum and the UN want to move to digital currency.
And
I don't think it'll work. They'll try that. It's not going to work. You don't get trade between people with a digital currency.
I don't know what's going to happen.
Or you'll have a huge black market, which is away from the government completely.
Well, the problem I see with a digital currency is you have to trust the people who are floating the digital currency. Does anyone trust government anymore?
No.
I mean, I wouldn't trust them.
That's the problem.
I'm not sure, Heavy Meadow, exactly where can paper is backed by commodities. So how many bushels of wheat is $1 worth? I mean, what can you reclaim it for? I say paper, the total amount of paper times the total amount of stuff that it represents tells you how much it's worth. But, currently it's all fiat. There is no backing. You can't just trade it in for gold or silver anymore or whatever. And Chris says, and you don't get to trade with a digital currency when the power. What do you mean? We've got solar and wind. What could possibly go wrong? Possibly Goldstream. Don't know. Just ask the fellows in Grass Valley.
Yeah, good point, Chris.
Yep.
How'd that work?
Yeah.
Or the tornado area that just got hammered, or, if there is no power, good luck.
Yep. Okay. You meant since paper is worthless without something. Yes.
Exactly.
That's true.
Yeah, you got that right. I mean, it has to be backed by something, and more than likely it's going to be gold and silver and copper and, and commodities.
According to Gold Addicts, the gold to U.S. dollar ratio on the U.S. debt clock is 35,000 an ounce.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is true.
And I mean, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I think, and that's at today's dollars. I used to be a trillionaire. I had a $10 trillion bill, Zimbabwe currency.
Piss off if you've got a valid claim. You can go to Forest Service and demand a key for that gate so that you can access your claim.
Yep. Now that's just scary, blind dude. You're welcome, blind dude. Good luck on that. Could be Patrick. I'm not sure what what's actually going to happen. I would agree with Eva that there's a plan. I mean, after all, they've put it on the internet. The Great Reset, World Economic Forum, and then what is it, Agenda 2021 at this point, or what?
2030. Yeah,
2030.
2030.
Agenda 2030
which is just an extension of Agenda 21.
Yeah. I mean, they're on the websites of these organizations. It's not a conspiracy theory. You can read it in their own words, and
Thanks, Paul, because you are correct. You know, talk to the American Mining Rights Association and join that group.
Yeah. I'm not disagreeing with you, BR. In order to consciously do some of the things that appears some people are consciously doing, you have to be what I would consider evil. Absolutely. And I think we all need to blind eunuch. That's fine. You know, we all need to do what we can to improve the situation, but that can vary place to place, person to person, situation to situation, and I don't know, but I mean that's why, you know, get involved in local politics to try and do what it is you can do. Okay, now I get it, Chris. Tricky, you guys are faster than me. I'm an old geezer, man. I have a right parietal lesion. Okay, I'm gonna pull that card out and play it right now. Yeah. And but I mean, we can't just sit around and stare at it anymore. Well, now here's the question, Goldstream. Do you want a water heater on that, or do you want a cold water to make things stand out? I mean, if it's warm water, they're going to stay there longer.
Well, the wash plant will probably be cold waters.
Well, you wrap that copper tube around the exhaust, man. Yep. I've never tried that down there, Chris. One time my razor and I tried it on my face. It's not real easy to get a decent shave without burning your skin. It's kind of tricky. Bye, Blind. Good luck.
Yeah, Blind. See you later.
Oh. So, anyhow, Chris says he ran heated water for a wash plant. If you had the capacity to do that easily, like you're running a generator or a diesel powered hydraulic pumps for the plant, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be a good idea to heat the water in an environment like this so that you could get more weeks of running.
Oh gosh,
It's bad. I'm glad Cherokee's not here tonight. She'd probably be blushing. Yes, you do. You don't want soap in there. Okay. Yeah, I agree. I think like up here too, it would give you extra time when you start getting that marginal weather where it's right around freezing. Yeah, heating that water will get you through. Yeah, John, I say it's fairly, call it off the shelf technology to wrap a copper tube around an exhaust pipe. We want video. Lots of video, Goldstream.
Didn't happen otherwise.
Where's the receipts? Well, in this case, receipts might be another thing too. Oh, goodness. Not me, Chris. Well, under those circumstances, I don't blame you for not being able to spell. You can try. It's hard to tell from pictures, Eddie. Okay, it really is. But if you want to, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I even mentioned that. Yeah, just go to the World Economic Forum. And
Yep, go to the World Economic Forum and go to the United Nations website. They laid out their entire philosophy.
Yeah. Yeah. Scary.
so anyhow, there's my email. So you can send me those pictures. There's limited ability to discern anything from a picture, but sometimes you can. It no charge for looking. And I agree with Chris. If you think there's reason, just get an assay.
Yep. Yeah.
That's a lot more reliable.
Well, it'll give you an answer fast.
You bet, Eddie. No problem. That's what we do here. We try and help people out. Oh, yeah, I had my fun. You know what? One of the most fun things I ever did, kangaroo rat hunting. Kangaroo rats. Now, kangaroo rats are little rodents, and they can move pretty quick. And over by Yuma is pretty much sandy soil with occasional bushes like every 15, 20 feet apart. Okay. There's a place out by where we call the foothills. We go out there, and to kangaroo rat hunt, you need a couple things. First of all, you need three guys to hunt kangaroo rats. Okay. That's important because everyone's got their job. You need three guys, a Jeep, a spotlight, and a stick. Okay. So you drive around until you spot a kangaroo rat. Now, it is the job of the spotlight person to keep the kangaroo rat illuminated 100% of the time. Somebody jumps out of the back of the Jeep with a stick and starts trying to run the kangaroo rat down. Now, a kangaroo rat is not like a mouse. He can run about as fast as you can, but he can turn in about 3.5 inches, 90 degrees, man. I mean, they can. Then you try and chase him down. Now, one thing they would do to try and get away is they would go into well, it's not gophers, they're ground squirrels, little ground squirrel hole. So this is where the guy in the Jeep not only has to keep close enough so the guy can keep the spotlight on him, but if he dives into a gopher hole, then the Jeep's job is to drive across that gopher hole, straddling it. So no matter which way it goes, he caves it in. Okay, because typically the rat will go just inside the entrance and stop, because it could be a sidewinder in there. So once you've caved it in, and you can tell which side caved in, then you go up there and you start stomping on the sand, and when you get then the rats, and you're off running again. And I tell you what, it was a blast. Those little things are fast. Eventually, we decided to be more. Oh, my Hindu is coming out here. We decided to be a little more better, and we eliminated the stick. You had to pick up the kangaroo rat by the tail to achieve a victory. We had and I mean, you'd be running like crazy, and then one of those holes would cave under your foot, and you go ass over tea kettle. Oh, we had fun. Yeah. Oh no, you couldn't do anything that fast, Chris. I say you had to do these things in not quite split seconds, but seconds. Kangaroo rats are about that big, so not nearly as dangerous as the actual kangaroo,
real one.
But yeah. Now I imagine that this is probably a felony today.
Oh, probably.
Can't
drive around.
But yeah, it was a blast. Yeah, my brother and I and a few of our friends, we did all kinds of crazy things, because in Yuma, you get something kind of similar to cabin fever, except you can't go out because of the heat. So you wind up doing things at night when, it cools down to 95.
Right. Yeah.
And so we would be swimming, we'd go frog stabbing, we'd go
Yeah.
snake hunting,
Create things to do.
all kinds of stuff. And so I say it was one of those fun things, and you had to be careful because there were sidewinders out there and you didn't want to step on them. But yeah, we had fun. No, we didn't cook them. We got to the point. It's like, well, we don't want to adversely affect the population. Hopefully,
Catch them so you can.
it didn't stress them too badly to chase them down. Although I can't guarantee that we didn't kill them the hard way there. But we were just obnoxious brats. Although I don't know, do you call a 16-year-old a brat? I suppose you can.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, a big obnoxious brat, but yeah. One thing we like to do that you certainly couldn't do around here. Now, again, as I said, bushes were like 15, 20 feet apart. Therefore, the chance of a conflagration was essentially nil in most places. So you go by the highway and you pick up bottles alongside the highway because we wanted to be trash neutral.
Mhm.
Okay. So you pick up bottles and then you go out at night and you fill the bottles with gasoline and set them out and light the top of the bottle on fire. And then you shoot at them. And when you hit them with like a 22, you get a little 6-foot fireball and stuff. Kill and release. Not bad, Lars. And yeah, Tricky. I used to, play with dinosaurs. It was cool.
Yeah.
Then we invented dirt and things really got interesting. But as I say, it was a blast. Now my daughters, they were here this spring and well, we'd go out and I remember one time it was me and Bonnie and Heather and one of their friends named Sandy. And the rule was simple. We'd set them out and you get one shot and then you handed the rifle to someone else with a 22. And so, Bonnie was just killing them that day. She was like 11 too. She was kicking ass. But it's really hard to see the crosshairs. You kind of got to move it back and forth and then up and down because you got to illuminate it against the flame and then, okay, there's the thing, and then drop it down and shoot it. Now, if you really want to have fun, shoot a 1-gallon metal can filled with gasoline with a center fire rifle. Now, that gives you about a 15-foot fireball. That's a blast. Yep. So, yeah, we had fun. No, you're dreaming about the wash plant, David. Oh
boy.
Yeah, but this was more. One time I did shoot one of those little propane canisters with the 22, and I hit it dead center in the back, and it just shot right up in the air. Did a great rocket. Yep. Yeah, pretty much anything. I did a little video where I used bacon grease in my gold pan to catch microfine gold. It worked. Kodak, go back, see the comment from Tricky Dicky. You were 16. What century? They didn't have illuminated reticles. Yep. Yeah, we had when we snake hunting, we'd go rabbit hunting. One time we were out hunting and we had a regular spotlight, for a car, but we put a 50-foot piece of lamp cord on it so that
take it out with you. Yeah,
didn't have that problem. And I was sitting on the hood of his was about 67 Ford Falcon station wagon, and he's driving along, and there was a rabbit, and he just slams on the brakes.
Set you right off the hood.
I slid off the hood. Actually, I think it was on the roof at that point.
Yeah.
Slid down the windshield, off the hood, hit the ground running, and managed to come to a stop at the end of the cord. I was like, what the hell are you doing? You know?
This has got to be a guy thing.
Probably.
Oh, yeah. It was-
Yep. And we would go down there by Morales Dam. And the nice thing about snake hunting by Morales Dam is on the other side of the river right there is a place called Mexico. And so the Border Patrol would very kindly, several times a night, pull a drag of tires along the road so that anything that crossed the road would leave a track. So
Yeah.
we drive up and there's a track that
Snake
wasn't
track.
there 15. Yeah. Yep. Ooh, a snipe hunter is a counter sniper, huh? No, never been that I don't know, ambitious, Lars. Yep. Eva hasn't, trust me. As she says, it's a guy thing.
I haven't what?
Gone hood surfing, i.e. sliding on. Now here's another thing.
Of course not. No sane person does such things.
Well, yeah, but young boys are not. The other thing we used to do is you could take a car hood and think about the shape of a car hood.
Yeah.
Now you get an old junk car, and there was junk cars laying around, and occasionally you take the hood off of it, then you tie a rope to the hood latch, and on those roads where it was sandy soils and stuff, you'd take a rope, tie it to the back of the truck,
Yeah.
get on the hood, and we had a couple ropes there for hand grips, and then you would just car hood toboggan.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Sled. We did that.
you know
And
And-
we even moved around bales that way at the farm sometimes, just old car hoods.
big bales are the kind you
no,
can
the
pick
big,
up.
huge round bales.
Yeah.
You roll one right onto the whole hood of a car and drag it anywhere you want.
The only real issue with the sand sledding was the roads were relatively narrow and windy. And so you had to
Hit
make
the
sure
rocks.
that the guy didn't cut the corner enough so that, he goes around the road and then the rope comes in under the bush and you're headed right into the tree, And we also had a thing, we'd go frog gigging. Now, when you have irrigated farmland, one of the big problems is salt buildup. Okay. Because if you keep throwing water on there and evaporates, eventually you get
Salt.
salt.
Yeah.
So to prevent that, they dug deep, narrow canal-like thing. I mean, these ditches were like 15 feet deep. And then they had the irrigation ditches above grade. So they'd irrigate the fields, and then the water would come out into these
Filter.
drains
Yep.
and gravity drain out. And those were great places for frogs because they were typically,
Warm water.
small, fairly shallow and stuff. And what we do is, again, we take that spotlight and that Jeep.
Mm-hmm.
Only this time we
Play in
take
the
a
mud.
gig.
Yep.
And you'd be driving along looking for frogs on the, actually either side, but generally the far side of the little drain ditch there. You finally, hold the light on. The guy would have to climb down carefully so he didn't disturb the frog and try and stab it. Now, we would sometimes come back with, 10, 15 frogs in one night, big bullfrogs.
Yeah.
And the legs were fine. They're pretty easy to think.
Clip.
But now, for some reason, the frogs didn't want you to do that when they were alive. So we had to, first of all, you had to kill the frogs.
Yeah.
Now, the easiest way is whack them over the head. The problem with that is it's very tedious and boring. So you can play frog hockey. Okay. And I told you we were just bad kids, right? So we
Frog hockey?
frog hockey. Yeah, you try and get it over the other guy's goal line
You
there.
are so rude. Poor frogs.
pretty much. Of course, better than cutting their legs off. And so
Disgusting.
then you would, once they were expired, then you would cut off their legs and you got these bodies. Now, the only time you can go frog gigging is in summertime. The daytime temperatures are anywhere from maybe 105. Yeah, froggy. That's good, Tricky. They're anywhere from 105 to 120, and the nighttime temperatures are anywhere from about 90 to 100. Now, the problem lies in when you take, de-life frog carcasses and put them in the trash can before they had things like plastic trash bags. And it's a couple days before the garbage man picks up the garbage. And if the garbage man figures out what's going on, he's probably not going to pick up the garbage. But anyhow, so they would get pretty aromatic in a day or two.
Mm-hmm.
Now, after a short while, we figured that this had substantial negative consequences that we wished to avoid. But if we wanted to go frog gigging and eat frog legs, we naturally had carcasses that we had to get rid of. So then we invented another game. And this is spread frog joy around town at 3 o'clock in the morning. So what we would do is we would drive around town and try and find inventive places to place a frog carcass. At the playground, they have those little horses with the saddles, the little kids right there in the saddle. It looks so cool. The frog's in their front legs down like this, the gap between a stop sign and the 4-way sign underneath it is about the right size that if you put the carcass in front and the hips behind, you can slide the carcass in that gap and the frog is hanging down over the 4. Okay. And we would do things like,
Y'all were mentally disturbed.
I think some of our victims were probably more disturbed than we were. But you can do such things as like place them in the middle of somebody's hood, staring at the steering wheel. Another thing was, as you're driving down the residential roads, try and throw it so it hits the back of the parked car, slides up the rear window, and lands on the roof sitting there. Okay, this is kind of tricky to do, even though you're only doing 20 miles an hour. No mail slots, not in Tucson. I mean, not in Yuma, they weren't. You could theoretically put it in a mailbox, but that'd be really rude. We might have, we'd never thought of actually putting them on top of a mailbox. That would have been acceptable,
Oh boy.
Let's see.
As I said, y'all are mentally disturbed.
Yeah. Paul says, worse than 2-day-old chicken livers left in the back of the truck. Yes.
Yeah, I will say, decomposing reptiles are one step worse than decomposing poultry, which is one step worse than decomposing beef.
Lars says, I made a frogapult when I was young. Sweet, Lars. A frogapult.
Ew! I hope they were at least dead.
And Chris goes, curling with frogs. Yep.
I hope they were dead.
Yeah. No cameras on everything, so there was no proof and no evidence. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The good old days.
Yeah, frogs are something. I mean, you put the frog in the heat for 2 days and it is something. I heard one tricky dicky. And this is both from the Navy and from fishing. Okay. If you were on a fishing party boat, and we did it off of San Diego, they said what you could do is take about 6 feet of line, put a hook on each end, an anchovy on each hook, and then as you're coming back from the fishing grounds where they're cutting up the fish and filleting them and throwing the stuff over the back, you throw this contraption over the back of the boat, and very quickly you will have 2 seagulls, both hooked with 6 feet of fishing line between them, which makes it they don't fly in formation very well. And another one was, this was supposedly in the Navy. Yeah, Paul, exactly. Apparently, being at sea for a long period of time gets really, really boring because if it's not bad weather, the sea is pretty uniform.
Yeah.
And so you get, towards the end of there's no Alka-Seltzer left because guys would get Alka-Seltzer and they'd take a little piece and throw it over the back and seagulls would eat it and stuff. And seagulls can't burp.
No.
Yeah.
Animal abuse. Awfully.
Pretty much. Guilty as charged.
I think
Statute of limitations is run out. They do have those firecrackers that are legal to use to chase sea lions away under appropriate approved circumstances. But yeah. Yeah, they're pretty much nasty. But I did catch one by hand once.
Seagull.
I was at La Jolla, and I was just killing some time, and I was reading a book, and I had some kind of snack thing to eat, like chips or something. And there's a lot of seagulls there, a lot of people there, etc. A lot of tourists. And so I throw some chips and some more, and I kept working him closer and closer and closer until finally I threw it out there and just waited. He came, grab him by the neck, and then turn him loose. But yeah, that was just a challenge. That's all. Yes.
Oh boy.
Probably not, Chris. Yeah, DuPont spinners have been unapproved for a long time. Let's see. What else did we do in the summer? Spearfishing.
No, we speared every spring.
The problem in Yuma was the vast majority of the water was way too turbid to actually see anything. We only had a couple places you could actually spearfish. There was a gravel pit. There was Senator's Wash Dam. There was below Senator's Wash Dam, where the water had percolated through the sand and stuff and was coming up in like natural springs underneath the water, nice and clear. And the Gila River, just before it flowed into the Colorado River. And so there was a few places, and we would go spearfishing. Now, I don't like a spear gun. And the reason is simply it's big, it's cumbersome, and takes forever to reload.
Yep.
Do you know what a sling spear is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was my favorite weapon. And because in Yuma, even the clearest water was fairly turbid. I mean, you could use a 5-foot spear, and that's about as far as you can see anyway.
Right.
And
that's what we did. We speared carp and catfish.
I had a triple point on it that was tough enough that when you hit a boulder at full speed, it would just bounce off. And yeah, it'd get a little dull, but with that much power behind it, it wouldn't matter on a fish.
Then we went to bow fishing with bows. That's a lot of fun too.
It can be once you figure out
how to shoot in the water.
Yeah. One nice thing about these modern compound bows, you've got a bow sight.
Yeah.
And so you can just adjust the bow sight for a thing. What I did, one of the canals had been drained to real low level. And so there was a aluminum can sitting out there. And so I just sit there and shoot it and see where the arrow hit and then adjust it until I could hit that
consistently.
Yeah. And that worked great. So that worked pretty good. But until I figured that out, I was just horrible. But it was all because of the compensation. I mean, it's hard to screw up a fish 10 feet away this big unless It's that
It's the
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 refraction.
distortion in the water.
It's the
is, you know,
refraction that kills
it-
you. Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of fun. Probably the most fishing fun I've ever had. One time was a wide open tuna bite off of San Diego. That was hilarious. But there was a flood coming down the Colorado River when they just had a big snowpack in the Rockies, and it was melting, and they started releasing water early. But at Yuma, normally the Colorado River is almost non-existent, right?
Yeah.
Well, it was coming down pretty good. And just upstream of Yuma was a dam called Laguna Dam. And it's basically just a big, long, shallow dam. It's essentially an emergency spillway with gates at each end. And there was enough water coming down that it was actually going over the spillway a little bit in place. Some places towards the California side, it was coming over fairly thick. But my brother called me up one day and he said, want to go fishing? So what are we going to do? He says, I'm thinking below Laguna Dam where that water's coming over, we might catch some bass, some smallmouth or something, because we got a good current there. Okay, fine. So we go out there, and we were using, I think, Sassy Shad. Now me, I tend to go heavier line. Randy, he likes to go light line. So he had like 6-pound test line. I had like 15. And real quickly, he found out that that was way too light a line for these conditions. Because what had happened was stripers had been washed in from not Davis Dam, Parker Dam, Lake Havasu. And so we weren't going after little fish, smallmouths. We were going after stripers in a current with brush. And so we were wading through, you can call it whitewater, but mainly just foam and stuff, but a decent current, and just casting. And I mean, like from here to Eva, and the whole pool is like this wide. It's just going over, and there's a little, agitation right there, and then it's going out through the kitchen, sort of thing. And I mean, you just chink, throw, say, wham!
Oh shit, that'd be fun.
Oh yeah. And my brother, when he figured this one, he took the pole he had and went back to his truck to get one with a bigger line. By the time he got back, I already had 3.
Wow.
Yeah, and they were running, I don't know, 1.5 pounds, 2.5 pounds up there. And then as you kept going towards California, I mean, this dam's over 1/2 mile long, from Arizona to California. We're going over, there would be more and more water coming over. So now it's getting tougher to stand up in the current. And I hooked this one, and he headed downstream. And it's like, I'm not going to be able to stop him. So I just put my pole in my mouth and started swimming downstream, because it's a big wide channel with sand bank and stuff. Yeah, exactly. And I didn't catch that one, but I mean, I was probably 50 yards downstream before it finally got up. And I mean, I couldn't touch the bottom. I'm literally swimming, trying to catch a fish. It was fun. It was, because I mean, it wasn't just fishing. I mean, it was full body experience. You're wading in white water, and trying to stop them, and it was very challenging. It was a blast. I also got a channel catfish on a lure in that situation. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that'll hit.
That was funny. Oh, I caught the fish, and then he just I couldn't stop him.
Referring to Katios.
Yeah. And it's like, I'm not going to just let him break off. I'm going to go after that son of a gun.
Yeah.
Yeah. There were some places you couldn't, because the current would go into the bushes and stuff that were it's normally dry there, So yeah, that was fun. Saved a guy's life once down at Morales Dam. They had the All-American Canal swings by there, comes out 20 miles upstream at not Laguna, it's above Laguna. I forget the name of the dam. But anyhow, but it has a gate structure at Morales where it can literally dump the All-American Canal into the river if they need to for whatever reason, like there's a breach downstream or something. And there were these big high concrete walls, like say below Canyon Ferry.
Yeah.
Okay, but there's no water flowing. And this guy was swimming it for some stupid ass reason because he didn't know how to swim worth a darn. He shouldn't have been doing it. But he was swimming out there, and then he started getting in trouble. And I just had to jump off the wall and keep his head above water while my ex-wife brought the fish trap over so I could grab that rope and she could drag me back over to the riprap. You know? Hey, it was a contact sport, that or a wide open tuna bite. That was freaking hilarious. We'd had a slow day fishing for tuna off of San Diego, and these were just little yellowfins.
Yeah.
That's all we were catching at the time. And so some other boat had been catching pretty good. So they radioed our boat and said, okay, we're leaving this spot now. You can take it over if you want. And so the captain was following their wake back, and just a little disturbance in the water. And on there, and they were in the ocean. The fish will congregate around any object because there's normally zero structure.
Right.
I mean, it can be as much as a 10-foot stringer of kelp. And the guy said, "There's a string of kelp there," and we were just catching them like heck. He's going back and everything, and it's like, "Oh, there's a stringer of kelp. Let's try this." Throw some stuff, dude. 3/4 of the people on the boat had a fish on before the boat came to a stop. Holy crap. And so, I mean, you couldn't keep a bait in the water. You know, I was using a lure. Hey, Bigfoot, how's it going? It's kind of degenerated to.
It's degenerating.
Yeah, it's pretty much gone to heck in a handbasket.
Goldstream, if there were strippers around the wash plant, would it still be gold mining?
They would be.
Yeah, somebody would be, right?
Yeah. And so, I mean, you literally couldn't keep your bait in the water 10 seconds. Your lure in the water. Yeah, pretty much, David. And a little 13-pound yellowfin tuna.
Oh, man, they're fun to catch.
They are hard to bring in. It takes a while.
Yeah.
So I thought, well,
They can run.
And you got so many people. So I
Yeah.
said, well, okay, I'm going to put down the light pole and pick up the 50-pound line pole, big crank reel on it and stuff. And so I put that out there. And I mean, I had the drag cinched down pretty tight. And that thing broke a 5/0 ocean heavy hook.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He was just tail walking out there because I wouldn't let him run. He just broke the hook. It was crazy. And so the next time we went out,
Oh my gosh.
I actually had a double box end wrench with a ring and a hook on it. Because if we got into something like that again, I was going to go video me here.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it would have
serious.
It would have got it in no time. It would have got slammed. No, I don't, Eddie. I'm afraid I'm going to find out. Come on, Eddie. We're waiting. We're waiting. Man, this guy's slow on the punchline, man. The crowds, they're losing their interest. No, that was David. Come on, Eddie. I have no idea. They both spread for bread. Not too bad. Not great. Okay. What's the difference between a girlfriend, a prostitute, and a wife? Don't listen. Anyone know? No, they don't, do they? Okay. Here's the difference between a girlfriend, a prostitute, and a wife. A girlfriend says, "Are you done already?" A prostitute says, "Aren't you finished yet?" And a wife says, "Honey, don't you think it's about time we repaint the ceiling?"
He's really pushing it now.
Northwest Territories, and is that ocean fishing there, Kodak? I presume for something that big.
Rivers, probably.
Yeah. I gotta make a little visit here.
Well, this really went sideways
I'll
tonight.
tell you what, man.
All y'all are just disturbed. That's all there is to it. Y'all are just disturbed.
No, we are rude, crude, and uncouth. Rude, crude, and uncouth. You're disturbed.
He's gonna be in big trouble later.
Yeah. Oh, well. He's tough. Yeah. Golden. Yeah, that's what I'd say, David. Golden. Yeah. Oh, well, we're glad you're here, Heavy, because we do have a lot of fun. Not every night, but and this did go a little sideways tonight, but it's all in good fun. So yeah, we didn't have enough big questions tonight. And I have a subject, but I thought I'll work on some extension of that next week, maybe.
You better, you slacker.
Yeah, well.
You could have prevented all this if you had been properly prepared.
I prevented this. Yeah.
I don't know about disturb myself. I can injure myself. Yeah. Where's the gold? That way. It won't matter, Paul. If she wants to, she'll get me sooner or later. Frog in a blender? No, but how many people saw that Bassomatic thing on Saturday Night Live? That just busted a gut. That was. Heavy metal detective. We're all adults. Besides, Keith is the only one at risk. Okay, Lars, what's your question? Anyhow. Oh my goodness. Well, at least it kept me awake. I was getting pretty sleepy there. Help us what? Dig the hole deeper?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was your wife watching or something, Lars? And you know what Lars is going to be really disappointed in? This video, I actually have the replay on. The comment replay. Oh, goodness. Straight jacket. If it was a straight jacket, we wouldn't be laughing so much. The inmates running the asylum. I won't say that out loud, Goldstream. Eddie, we do it every Monday at 6 o'clock Montana time, which is mountain. And we usually go over what we did over the week, which right now isn't much because it's freaking winter and everything's frozen. And then we answer any questions. Sometimes somebody will have a question, and it'll just run on for like an hour and a half, bringing up other subjects and corollaries and stuff.
Yeah, it went a little
Little
fun
this
tonight.
is rather extraordinary. Yeah.
We have a good group of guys here, though, Paul and everybody. It's been a lot of fun. This last year has actually been a blast.
Yeah. Hey, Chris, nobody can drive me crazy. For me, it's just a short walk.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, halfway there already.
If you're Central Time, we would be coming on at 7 for John. David, usually great. Well, this is great stuff.
Usually great stuff.
Totally different kind of stuff.
Yeah. Went a little off track from a mining program, but
Absolutely.
Ask mining questions, people.
You heard the goddess. Get your minds out of here. Why? It's so comfortable and natural down here for me, Chris. Oh, okay. I'll go with the corollary.
Yeah.
Yeah, at 8 p.m. Eastern, exactly.
Yeah, and it can be 3 or 4 hours of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, Turkey's, got some weird time thing. We've got oh gosh.
He said tomorrow.
We got from Hawaii, not Hawaii, from Australia too. So we got at least one person there. Haven't seen anyone from Africa today.
No.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. I think we're probably close to calling it a night, and then Eva can smack me over the head after the witnesses left. And then she can say, look, he was injured beforehand.
Yeah.
See, I've got video evidence. Really? Man, that's a shitty mine.
They used to arrest people here in Helena too for doing that, going into the storm sewers and picking up the gold that washes out of the streets here.
That doesn't keep people from calling in. Tricky. Australia isn't exactly wide open either right now, is it? Well, I appreciate the thought, David, but I don't necessarily agree with it. Yeah, Terry. Up in Kanukistan there. He says that it's pretty laid back in Nova Scotia. Okay, anyone else got anything else? DXing. What's DXing, Chris? I'm guessing it's something to do with ham radio. Wonder what that one was.
Oh, you get crappy.
I don't know. Nope. Oh, okay, Paul. Thank you. Long distance. Okay, skip. Thank you, Alex. Appreciate it. Say it wasn't as substantive as we usually like to have, but it worked out all right anyhow. Heavy Meadow Detective says, tell Eva I enjoyed the tinfoil hat segment. It's tinfoil hat, not helmet. You know, it's tinfoil hats. Yep.
Thank you.
And guess who made that tinfoil hat for his beloved wife, huh? Good luck on that, Tricky.
Hey, thanks everybody for being here tonight.
At least one continent away. That's what DXing means. Okay. All right. Any questions? Going once. Now, it has to be a tinfoil hat because of the electromagnetic waves from the government or something like that.
And it has a brass deflector bow.
And a brass deflector bow. Okay.
And all that 5G stuff, you know.
Yeah, John, if they knew who they were talking to, they would have said nothing, you know? Yeah, it is, Lars. Unless somebody comes up with a good question or something, we're going to call it a night here. I'm tired.
Yeah.
I was up till almost 1 o'clock in the morning last night with those characters over there. What's the easiest way to install a shower on a wash plant? The most entertaining way is good-looking female plumbers. Okay? I have not done any prospecting there. I was at the Yellow Aster gold mine once when the company I worked for was looking at it to buy it, which they did and put it into operation. We have a lady that's sometimes here called Cherokee, and she lives just south of Randsburg in Johannesburg.
Chris might know a little bit about it too.
Depends on how good they are. Randsburg is in the Mojave Desert, kind of northeast of San Bernardino area and northwest of Barstow. It's near the China Lake Naval Weapons Test Center. Trying to think of the name of that significant town there, which is the main thing at China Lake. There's a town of about 15,000 people that supports the China Lake thing. It's on, is it on 395 or just off 395? I forget. But anyhow, if you look west of Barstow on I-15 maybe, and then no, it's north of San Bernardino on I-15 and east of Barstow. I'm guessing that's 40. Say it's up in that corner there, just kind of southeast of the lower part of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Oh, that'd be cool, Terry.
That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah. Not familiar with that one, Lars. Yeah, that's not too far from Lars. Maybe 60. What? About 60 miles line of sight? No more than 90, I would think. You bet, Heavy Meadow and Assay. We're here every Monday
come on
night.
back. Would love to have you here, and
Yeah.
we'll actually do some shows some nights on mining too.
Yeah. It's been known to happen. It's winter, man. It's winter. What are some average placer claims these days? I don't know. I guess that means price-wise.
I have no real clue. I mean, I've seen some patented stuff lately going for really high money, which is it's too bad. A few years ago, some of those claims would be, 20, 25,000, and now they're pushing 90 or,
You think it's for the gold, or you think
No,
it's
I
more
think
for
it's
just
because
land?
of possible homesteading or land, just land.
Land has been crazy lately.
Yeah, there you go, Kodak.
Buying.
Around here,
Well, I guess if you're looking for just claims, John, we could probably help you find something that's reasonable. I mean, I've seen a lot of claims that people have went out and just staked and they're pumping them, trying to move them for, $10,000, which is crazy, but I'm sure we could find you a claim up here somewhere.
yeah. Oh. Anything else? Any questions going twice? And we got to wind this thing up. It's going to be very difficult for Eva to beat me sufficiently in the remaining time before I go to bed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that Goldstream, they kind of started showing up this year around here. So
yeah.
there's always been a few, but this year it seemed like there was a lot of stuff happening in the woods and on these drainages.
Don't worry, I won't beat him. I'll just throw out all the snack food. You will starve to death.
We have canned meat. Okay, anyone else?
Exactly, Chris. Paper hangers.
Oh. Yeah. There's always somebody messing it up for the rest of us.
Yeah, it kind of gives us a bad rap when you're really trying to do things the right way. But
yeah. All righty. I guess that's it for tonight, folks. We had a good time. Yeah, that would make sense, Goldstream, especially the ones that are advertised. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff. John.
yeah, Thanks everybody.
Nice to see you, Chris. Not bad, Terry. I think my body's working on it, Lors. All righty. Calling it a night. Y'all take care. Happy prospecting. Keep it safe out there. And keep your eyes open and head on a swivel. Bye-bye.